Hello, we are live. Hello and welcome everybody. If you are watching the replay, then I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for choosing to spend this time with us, for choosing to come and explore some global peace meditations and some of the concepts that we're talking about, as well as experiencing the wonderful community that we have with us. So welcome everybody. We are back again in the beautiful tribute to David. This is James Malins live on YouTube. And I am very, very grateful for you all to be here. Yelena immediately says it's 40 days since David passed, or since the news of David came forward. Yeah, it's sad. You know, it's really sad. We're still, it's still an unfortunate situation. You know, I've gone back to one of David's old lives, and I want to do that meditation with you guys today. So, you know, the one beautiful thing is that we keep going, guys. We carry on. We keep going. We keep doing what we're doing. So, you know, I'm immensely grateful to you guys, and for as long as we keep doing this, we continue his legacy and the beautiful space that he created. So welcome everybody. Yelena, Deborah, Free Queen, welcome back. As I said in the comments, we missed you last week, but never any pressure. It's lovely to see you back here again. Thank you for coming to spend time with us. Asana, Mummy, welcome Mummy. Lucas, brother, hi, welcome. Gail says, hi, hey James and family, in the middle of readying 4 sourdough loaves for last rise. I will be listening but can't watch for a bit. That's absolutely no problem at all. We love that. Lucas loves that. I love that. We love bread. Sourdough bread especially. So that's amazing. Raina, let's have a look here. Make sure we've got everybody. Tammy as well. Welcome, Tammy. As I say, Asana, lovely to have you here. Zoidchka, I know you said you'll tune back in later on, so if you don't get a chance to join in a bit, then if you watch the replay, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Bradine, always, as always, thank you again for your lovely poem. Welcome back. Lovely to have you here. Have we said hello to everybody who's tuned in so far? I think so. Lots of lovely comments already, guys. Very, very lovely to have you guys back. Patty, thank you for being here. And Patty, I saw that you mentioned about the video you were talking about. If you'd like to let me know in the comments, perhaps I can try to find something, show it to the people. Let me know. Lydia, Paul, brother, thank you for tuning in, Paul. Very kind of you to be here, and thank you for sharing with that lovely lady who you did. She dropped me a message about the page, and so that was nice. We still need to get on a call, my friend, so we'll have to sort that out. Susie, welcome, Susie. Thank you for being here. And Anne, Norway, well, welcome, Anne. Thank you for tuning in. Very kind of you to come and spend this time with us. Amazing, lovely, guys. Appreciate you all for being here. Blah, welcome back. Happy Sunday, beautiful souls. Today I have my first CE5 in Port Washington in the Meetups app. That's in Metro North and LIRR. What's LIRR? Just out of curiosity. From Westchester County in New York. I will miss you all. My new community. Beautiful. Well, I hope everything is extremely exciting. I hope you've got plenty to share next time. Would be lovely to hear how that all goes. And Lydia, coming in from Santa Cruz, California. Grateful for you being here as well. Thank you for tuning in, guys. And Linla, greetings from Pennsylvania. Thank you for coming back again. Bonnie, thank you for tuning in again. It's lovely to have you here. Very kind of you to return. Amazing, guys. It's truly, truly wonderful to have you all spending this time with us as usual and coming back to be with us. So let's come main camera for just a second. So what we'll do, if you are watching the replay, this is that period of time where I just send out a few notifications so that as many people as Long Island Railroad, gotcha. So this is that time when I send out the notifications for people, so get yourself nice and relaxed. We're going to be here together for 3 hours and 33 minutes as usual. We're going to do some lovely meditations and have some conversations about, again, the rise and fall of civilizations, because there's a few interesting things that have come up since I've been sharing the posts again, and people have been responding, and I've been looking deeper into history alongside Lucas, etc. So a lot of very interesting things to talk about today. So I'm just going to click, I've got all of them prepared, so all I have to do is click send on the vast majority. So I'll just go ahead and do that now, make sure they're all sending, and you'll all be pleased to know that I've got a bowl of fruit with me this week. So there is an even slimmer chance of me passing out in this heat that we've got here in the UK. Which it isn't really heat. I mean, I know some people deal with a lot more heat than we could even imagine, so I never like to complain about that. So, okay, we've got the post there. We've got a post over here, which is going out. And again, for those of you that are signed up to all of these platforms, your phone might be going mental at the minute, so I appreciate your patience. I'm just about to post a little story as well, because I got that one prepared. Okay, there we go. All sorted. That is the beauty of getting things prepared in advance. So, let's just do a little check, shall we, guys? How are we doing with the audio? Is it all good? Are we at a nice volume? Do we have any technical difficulties, or are we doing all fine there? Because we're expecting the technical difficulties, but I think we're doing pretty good. I think so. Joie de vie, blessings and greetings always to you, James, and my Lightworker Starseed family around the world. In Denver, Colorado. Beautiful. And thank you again for joining the group. I've got some interesting news for you guys about that. Some very wonderful inspiration that came forward. So I'm going to look forward to showing you guys that. And yeah, and as always, if there is anybody who I haven't had a chance to get back to over the past week, then I deeply appreciate your patience. It's, again, ever since we've all come together doing our peace meditations and posting on sort of Facebook and YouTube, TikTok and Instagram, things have just gone constantly viral. You know, I think I'm up to about 4.3 million views, roughly around that area, which, again, views is whatever. It's good. It's good. It lets you know that people are seeing what you're sharing. But the most important thing is the development of what we are talking about. Okay, which at this point is the great global garden. So the beauty is that all Brizzy, welcome Brizzy. Thank you for tuning in. The beauty is that all of you who have spent this time with us, you've seen the development of these events firsthand. You know, so we're on our 6th live stream this Sunday, and so ever since David did his last live, which was the Pathway to Peace, you know, truly phenomenal. Ever since his last live, the Pathway to Peace, there's just been this consistent evolution and development of this idea. So, you know, I'm mixed in with the sadness that we're spending this time together and not with David, of course. You know, there is a true elation that we're talking about a conversation that impacts every single soul on planet Earth. You know, I feel that whatever, and it's humbling to talk to you guys about this. You know, I feel like we are truly having a conversation that is grounded and logical and obvious, you know, and it's this return back to the great global garden, but it's possible, you know, and I feel that in society's current climate, the people are desperate for it, they're angry, and they're ready for change, you know, and so we can, I mean, I've been very, you know, passionate and lion-y in some of my posts, but I think that using that fire and passion is a good way to then, you know, show people the pathway to peace, which is exactly what David was talking about. So Prince Royal, Little Susie, thank you guys for coming back in. Tree Dog, it's always so amazing to see your guys' names popping back up. It's really lovely to have you all in. Bonnie says, I'm driving, so checking chat at traffic lights, no worries at all. Get home safe. I appreciate you spending this time with us, without a doubt. Sands Motel, hi James, is there any way to email you and your group? Absolutely. So my email is, I could probably pop it up, let me just, you can, well, one thing you can do, I don't mind sharing my email, that's okay, let me just do this, I mean you could be able to find it anyway. Can I add a bit of text? I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll come over here, so we'll pop over here a second, and I'll just, actually, what I'll do, Sans, so what I'll do is you can email me at jamesmalinsofficial @gmail.com. So that's my email. It's a bit fiddly to pop that up on the screen at the minute, but if not, drop me a message on Facebook or Instagram, or you can even, if you've got TikTok. I know TikTok's not the best platform, but any of those you can message me on. If you have anything to share, please feel free to. And I will say, please be patient with me. I'm trying to get back to every comment, because I feel like at this moment in time it's important. So getting through comments and messages, it's quite a task. But anyway, I would love to hear what you have to share. So Cosmos, thank you for coming back. Very, very wonderful to see you here. And Beach Life, if I didn't already say, thank you for tuning in. And everybody was saying the audio sounds good. That's fantastic. I appreciate that, guys. So yeah, amazing. Right then. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do our little intro as usual. So we'll come over to our screen over here, get ourselves nice and centered with what we're planning to do this evening. So today is, of course, the Unification of Humanity Part 2. So we're going to revisit, this might be the third time, but I've expanded a little bit further. So we're going to revisit the rise and fall of civilisations, because I feel there's a very profound knowledge there that we can look to in regards to where we go in the future. And of course, as always, wherever you are, David, dear brother, here or there, in this world or the other world, we're very grateful to you and we appreciate you very, very much. This screenshot here is taken from the live that I'm going to show you in a moment. I have that text available, so if any of you want to go and check it out, you'll know exactly which live that we've engaged in today. So Deborah, looking forward to today's subject. I appreciate that, Deborah. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. I really, really am. And so obviously we're now on our 6th live stream, so I wanted to share in here, these are the past live streams. So anybody who's new, if you want to sort of have an idea of what we've discussed up until this point, we've gone through, first we were honouring David at the deepest level. We spent the whole time talking about that. We then, in our next set of lives, I have a kitty cat that's meowing. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Where are you, our little one? What are you doing? Okay, he's not there. You know what it's like. Kitty cats have got priority. So, but we went through the Whirling Rainbow Prophecy, which was very much Native American philosophy. We went into the Global Garden of Peace, and now we are expanding upon the idea of how we unify humanity under one common ideal. And this is, again, leading on from the Whirling Rainbow Prophecy of peace on earth, the coming together of all nations, all peoples and all creeds, and now we're exploring that on a deeper level. Philip, welcome from Texas, my friend. Thank you so much for tuning in. Very kind of you to be here. And so last week's live stream, we discussed, I had my dream in regards to the Cedars of Lebanon. We are going to go through that briefly. We talked about the fall of Sumeria, the fall of the Akkadian Empire, obviously the story of the Epic of Gilgamesh and what that looked like in regards to one of the earliest stories that we have. And then we explored the principles of forest gardening, especially the 7 layers of the forest, the overstory, canopy, understory, the tree layers, the overstory and understory, and the rhizome layers, the roots, nuts, berries, shoots, everything that the forest garden is all about. Breathe Light, welcome. Thank you for coming back and tuning in. Thank you for spending this time with us. Very grateful to have you here. Prince Royal says, well, I came in 8 minutes late, slowly catching up. No worries, guys. It's amazing to have you all here. So, obviously, the schedule for today's live stream, number 6, very grateful to you all. It's incredible to be able to be on the 6th live stream with all of you. This week has been truly fascinating, with an incredible acceleration in the concept and idea that we're talking about, with, with the idea of the Great Global Garden. Tonight we will be doing 5 meditations, roughly 42 minutes apart, for the entire 3 hours and 33 minutes. We'll dive, as we've said, back into the rise and fall of civilizations, We're going to go through some of the enclosure events over the past 1,000 years, particularly here in the United Kingdom. But if we were to start to look at the histories of all countries, I'm very confident you'd see a similar pattern. So you guys might have a bit more knowledge on that than I do currently, but we may even go into that over the weeks as well. Karina, welcome. Kia ora, welcome. Thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you spending this time with us very much. Very, very kind of you to be with us. Again, guys, Karina is a truly lovely soul. She has walked with me for a very, very long time, supported my posts and what I've had to share for a tremendous amount of time. So I'm very grateful to Karina, as I am for all of you as well. So thank you, Karina, for being here. And again, I think we'll revisit the forest garden. I did gather some information, a lot of information actually, on the history of forest garden, where it originated. But one thing that I will make you guys aware of now, there's quite a lot of history-based things, so I don't want it to become too mundane. I mean, I feel like it's vitally important when we're talking about the future of humanity. So, you know, we'll go with it. You'll have to let me know once we've finished how you felt about, you know, what we've shared and the format and how we've gone about things. So, you know, if you're willing to, then that's absolutely fine. So the meditation schedule, as usual. So we've got our 5 meditations. The one that we're going to be doing today with David is going to be the David Wilcock Live, The Great Revealing, and it will be 4 hours, 43 minutes and 16 seconds is the exact moment when he starts his global peace meditation. So if you guys want to keep a note of that, or if you want to write it down, or if you want to come back and know which live it is, then this is the one that it's going to be. So the other thing that I really found interesting and that I liked about this is this idea of the great revealing, because what started coming to me was the idea of the great task, and then we have the great global garden. Now, don't ask me why the word great is kind of the word, but it just kind of, it feels nice and flowy. It's got an energy to it at the minute. So, you know, I just thought that it was really nice to see that theme expanding from, you know, his video on the great revealing to then the great task, which I had coming to me, this idea of fulfilling the great task, which is about to happen, which is happening now, and ultimately the great global garden. So yeah, it's a very curious thing. Shapeshifter, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. You haven't missed a thing. We're just doing our usual introduction to know what our plan is for today. And so, of course, you know, we'll go through our two meditations, global peace meditations, which we'll do for health and completeness and restoration and abundance. Our middle one, again, with all of your guys' permission, will be the I am with you prayer. I really, you know, it's a very heartwarming one to me and I enjoy sharing it with you. And after each meditation, we'll share something that we're grateful and potentially something that came to us. So if you guys are okay with that, then let me know. One thing I am going to try to do today is make sure that when I'm talking about a concept, I keep it in a consistent block. You know, because I love talking with you guys. I adore engaging in the comments and chatting with you guys as we're going along. But I know a few people have mentioned that they get really excited about what we're talking about and then kind of the flow gets broken. So if you feel that I'm not responding as much as usual, then I'll try to do it in blocks and then I'll try to go back over a set of comments and we'll see how that goes. You know, again, to me, I'd rather have a lot more to share over the coming weekends because, like I say, I mean, I've it must have taken me about 16 hours to finish all of these slides. I mean, I have got about 220 at this point, so that's from last week and this week, but you know, I don't want to, I prefer not to run out, you know, that's kind of what my feelings are. Yelena says, Magenta Pixie did an entire video on the passing of David Wilcock. She met him in the UK and they were exchanging emails. David Wilcock has definitely passed. Well, if that's true, then, you know, it's a real shame. That's a real shame. And if that is true, then I'm even more empowered to continue doing this. And I know for a fact that he is in the other world, watching in great joy with what we're doing, what we're saying, you know, just having this conversation about the restoration of planet Earth. You know, whatever happens with the visitation from other worlds, you know, we are with our feet on this planet, and I believe that when we restore it to this great global garden, we have an opportunity to be a beacon of inspiration to the entire universe. You imagine the entire universe looking at what we're doing on this planet, and the entire collective of humanity, which are said to be, who are said to be the children of all that is, which I believe everything else in the universe is the children of all that is as well. But we're here to reclaim the mantle of responsibility, to demonstrate to the universe how absolutely wonderful and magnificent this planet can be. And then who knows, that's a complete hypothetical beyond that, but maybe their planets also become these Edens, these gardens of paradise, and it's all about this return to the great global garden, this remembrance of the principles of the forest, which I'm really glad I brought my Anastasia books close to me. When you observe the Anastasia books, it's lovely that this one is the tree, you'll find that Anastasia mentions that nature, or the trees, are the thoughts of God, the creator, all that is, the universe, great mystery, great spirit, whichever word feels more comfortable, that nature and the trees are the literal thoughts of our creator, whatever form that may be. So I find that really incredible. I think that it's a tremendous idea, and ever since this idea continues to grow and expand, I feel ever more confident that the rest of the stuff to do with our world, even though it looks like a monumental task to restore the sovereignty and the knowledge to all people on the planet, I believe that with that end goal, with that end goal, with that idea, that clear direction, that clear directive, we can walk towards that, and whatever happens, happens, But I really feel truly inspired. Leilu, consciousness never dies. I agree with you impeccably. I absolutely agree with you. And there's a very interesting point I'd like to share on that in regards to my lovely mother, to do with a dream she had recently. We're going to get to that slide in just a moment. But yeah, I really believe that we are also bringing this idea of the other world, which is very Arthurian in many spiritualities. We're bringing the concept of the other world, that love, that goodness, that decency, to planet Earth. So I know a lot of people are trying to escape this planet, go to Mars and go to the moon and whatever. That's beautiful, that's fine. Okay, cool. That's absolutely fine. But there's something here in our soils, on our planet, in the roots of our trees, that is just phenomenal, and we're bringing that to the forefront as we speak. So I appreciate all your comments, guys. I hope you don't mind this new format where I'm talking a little bit more. I want to chat with you guys because I love you all very dearly. So Bradeen says, I personally don't feel that David left. Regardless, we take courage and move forward. I agree. And look, guys, of course, it's in these moments, we knew from the beginning, from the very first video that I did, that it's a very delicate subject and concept because of what has happened in our world, it becomes very difficult to know. Unless we were there, stood watching, which I don't know how I feel about saying that, I apologise. Unless we were, there for what happened, how can we know? So, Yelena, I agree with you. I understand you completely. Bradeen, I also understand you completely. I would like to think that, if we are bringing, like my mother's very incredible dream, if we are bridging the other world and our world in with love and with this pursuit of the great global garden, maybe, we aren't going to have such a divide, such a veil, and we, the people who may have left us or are here or aren't here, we'll be able to communicate beautifully. So, yeah, interesting. Aren't we having an interesting conversation? Shapeshifter says, Gaia is beautiful. It's just we're among many different people with different vibrations that create a jarring experience. What a beautifully succinct thing to say. I agree with you completely. It becomes very difficult because the posts I've been doing, I've had a lot of extremely violent abuse. My goodness. I have had some very, very angry people. And so I have tried to respond to those people in respect and love and kindness. And some people, I've had about 5 apologies because of that demeanour. Some people have stuck to their guns and had what they've had to say about me, and that's fine. You know, I cannot expect to, we cannot expect to walk this path and tread this path without having, as Shapeshifter profoundly said, the jarring experience. You know, people are going to be angry, and a lot of people in that anger become unreasonable. You know, I had one gentleman fighting me, and everything he said was everything we're talking about, and I kept trying to say to him, listen, my friend, you've got the wrong end of the stick. Like, what you're talking about is what we're talking about, and what I'm trying to say to you, and he wouldn't have it. So, you know, that's okay, it happens. But you know, we do our best, and we will continue to do our best to embody those qualities of goodness and decency. Like David, like Princess Diana, you know, if I may go as far as to say the representations of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene and the Essenes, and many other beautiful souls over the years that have tried to embody this philosophy and ideology of goodness and decency, you know. So we just keep going. We keep going without fear. You know, I have absolutely no fear of consequence or the future. I now feel so empowered to know that it feels to me like there's a very clear path forward. So, yeah. All right, guys, let's get back to our slides. Oh, and by the way, let's just come back again. Shoo! Removed the sound, but if you guys are tuning in and you're willing to hit the like button as we're at this present moment in time, you know, I'm never really bothered about saying it because it's always very cheesy to say it, but if you are able to click that like button, we did have a few people last week who found us because of that. So if you're willing to hit that like button right now, it would be truly wonderful. So I appreciate you guys very much. Oh, and by the way, if you do go on the live section of my YouTube, you'll see that I changed the thumbnails, and I wondered what you guys thought about that. You know, I've been making sure that David is in those thumbnails as well, and I just sort of, they were very complicated before, and I didn't like it, so I made them very simple, myself and David, and then the text in the middle with a little live icon. So if you guys think that that's a cool sort of simple format, then that's all good with me. Free Queen says, good for you, James. I appreciate that. Shapeshifter says, me too. I still think back to my childhood and can't figure out how some could see a child and just see a target to exploit. I can forgive, and I have, but can't understand it still. And I understand how you feel completely, Shapeshifter, you know, and this is where it becomes a very difficult topic, only because you go into the concept of why, as you've profoundly said. Why did we experience what we experienced? And the only way I've been able to empower myself is to know that I experienced what I experienced because it set me up to do what I'm doing now. You know, so when I ask the right questions in regards to what is happening and why, and I was able to really sit and allow the answer to flow, it all started to dissolve, and I was able to empower myself tremendously. So, but I agree with you completely. That's the mystery of life, you know, the discovery of the why. Karina says, James, you do a wonderful job of managing Discord, love and kindness. I appreciate that dearly. Discord is actually something, so, you know, Telegram, Discord, I haven't been as present with you guys. I know a few of you have come over to join. You know, I'm assuming, I feel in time a lot more people will join us, but for now, I appreciate you, you know, being patient with me, for sure. Deborah says, James, I told folks to smash the like button. I appreciate that. That's good. Thanks, guys. If you do that, that's very kind of you. Deborah says, so definitely true, James. Thank you. Appreciate that. And Shapeshifter says, absolutely. Wonderful. All right, guys. Okay, so, and Free Queen also says, looks good, James, for the thumbnails. Beautiful. I appreciate that feedback. That's very kind. Although, I can never get the upload quality. I don't know what it is. It seems it's whether it's a Canva thing. I don't have Photoshop at the minute anymore, so I can't test Photoshop, which is slightly frustrating. But I don't know why the DPI, the quality isn't working, but so I think it's a bit blurry. But anyway, I'll try to fix that in the months to come. So, okay. Just coming across. So that's our meditation schedule. So the question is, what has happened this week? So we had, now these images I am so happy to share with you are mine. Well, actually, they're kind of Lucas's because he took the screenshots from my videos. But I took videos of a thunderstorm that we had here in the north of Wales, and it was so amazing. I have about 10 videos of the most incredible lightning strikes ever. And well, I say ever, okay, that's quite profound. For me, ever. You know, I was stood there outside, the rain was gorgeous, and the lightning and the sound was just immensely powerful. So I did try to upload the videos to Canva. I'm pretty sure you can do that, but I thought about it too late, so I might try to do that next week. Yeah, that was 2 of the screenshots of the 10 different videos that I got, and I just thought they were really amazing. I could feel a very curious energy when I was stood up on the hill waiting for the storm to come, because I could see it flashing in the distance, and then when it reached us, it was just incredible. I actually was a bit nervous because our internet went down for about 2 days, and I was unsure whether I'd be able to get it up properly for this Sunday, but the universe has worked in our favour, and here we are. So it's beautiful. So now here we go. So Free Queen, I did see your comment, and I'm going to share that in just a moment. But my dear mother, so this image, and can I just say as well, I know Canva has the AI option, and with the data centers and the usage, I don't know how I feel about it anymore. It's really unfortunate because it's actually been helping me out a lot because of the amount of time it takes to kind of put the slides together. How do you find images that represent what you're talking about? Well, the Canva AI is not too bad, but if it means that it's doing damage to our ecosystems, then I'm going to have to rethink it, which is unfortunate. So I have to do a bit of research into that, guys. But for now, my mother rang me, and she said she had a dream. Now that she was, excuse me, sorry. She had a dream, and she was opening the door to the airing cupboard in her home, and in the door there was a swirling rainbow portal with these sort of sparkles around it, and she said that she could feel her mother on the other side. So my nan, my mother's mother, was another wonderfully angelic woman, and my mother looked after her impeccably. So when my nan was reaching an age of moving on, my mother... I've never known a human being to look after somebody with such impeccable patience and love and devotion. You know, I know there's many lovely souls out there who do and will. I do know, you know, Sue Cooper is a friend of mine, and she certainly has that wonderful love. But my mother is a impeccable example of unconditional loving care. So she looked after my nan up until the point where my nan passed, and that was quite a few years ago. My mother will know the date. Unfortunately, I'm not that good with dates. Forgive me, mother. But she said that she could feel my nan on the other side, and that I was stood next to her. So it was, you know, I'm quite far away from my mother and father at the minute, which is very unfortunate. Hopefully in not too distant future, when the door opens to something, that will change. But she said she had a dream. Open the airing cupboard, swirling rainbow portal with the sparkles. My nan was on the other side, and I was stood next to her, and she was present with it. And I think that is really profound. We've gone through the whirling rainbow prophecy, which is right here, which I've kept these cards here. Ironically, I haven't actually moved them back to my let's come back here a second, main camera. So 2011 she passed. Thanks, Mum, I love you. So we have the whirling rainbow prophecy, and we have the flowering of Logress, which is again the rainbow principle here. And now with this image over on our full monitor, my mother's had this dream of the whirling rainbow, you know, this portal. And so what I'm gathering from this is, as we are moving along this journey and expanding this conversation to reach every square inch of our planet, this idea of the whirling rainbow is bringing the other world. If David has passed, it's where he will be. The other world, my nan and all of our loved ones, we're bridging that gap. We're becoming this rainbow bridge, if you will, between this world and the other world. Now, we've gone through a lot of concepts in some of our older slides to do with the sun, light, and the fact that our light is a holographic. Our reality is a holographic based reality. I know a lot of you already know that. Some of you also have some incredible retention of information from especially what David was sharing. So I think we're doing something really profound, and Free Queen, I'm about to share with you that little moment. So I will just get through some comments. Heather says, I found a robin's egg while working my garden this morning. I feel that's a beautiful omen. Removed my lawn and seeded clover and wildflowers to support. Removed my lawn and seeded clover and wildflowers to support pollinators and soil nutrition. I love that beautifully. That's amazing, Heather. Thank you so much for sharing. Asana says, Teresa, what a gift she gave you and you gave her. Beautiful comment. I agree with you completely. San says, what a beautiful vision and dream. Yeah, I was amazed when my mother told me. Karina, rest in love. I love that. That's a really nice thing to say. Thank you so much, Karina. Bless you. Asana says, it is such an honour to be present with those who cross over. Those end of life moments are priceless. So absolutely, I agree with you. I actually, when I lived on a farm that we were trying to accomplish this with, one of the cows was really old. They didn't euthanize their cows. And myself and this other gentleman were there present with this cow to the very end. We played music, we played... I played flutes before, but he put some music on and she passed away right in front of us. And it was just... we had this moment. It was really moving. We had this really quiet moment with this wonderful animal. And we were, you know, stroking her face and just being with her and, you know, telling her. And it's ironic because about an hour before I was there with her by myself, and she, you know, I'd said to her, if it's your time, you know, move on. You know, you can pass on, and you're loved. We'll be here with you. And she did. She did an hour later. It was crazy. So. Suzanne says, why only a few people see this? Well, I have it on my to-do list to make a video in regards to us continuing David's legacy, you know, so I want to do that video properly. If it is to be, you know, I want to do a few more videos on YouTube because it's, you know, we have a lovely community here, and the very first video I did had a lot of lovely people, and not everybody will have remembered, you know, that we're doing this, and that's okay. You know, that's okay. But I have been feeling about doing a video to share that we're honouring David's legacy. So for those... there's so many people. I know I've seen Jude is seeking to do live streams. I think he's already done one. The people in his comments were equally grateful that he was doing it. So, you know, there's a few thousand people out there that would still love to come and join us, you know, and be a part of our community. But having said that, regardless of how many of us are here present right now, I appreciate you all incredibly, you know. So as we all spend this time together and we continue these global peace meditations, we continue having the conversations people will find us, you know. And I have to admit, I am immensely desperate for an assistant at this point. It is a colossal amount of work because I'm on Facebook. I'm manually inviting people. I'm up to 16,000 followers from 9 ever since, you know, everything transpired. So I've gone from 9 for the past 6 years, now up to 16. We're at 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, 3,000 people on Instagram. So it's growing, it's building, it's growing, it's going forward. Soul Coach Suzanne, thank you for coming in and being with us. It's a pleasure to have you here. Lisa Tracy with the Love Hearts, thank you for tuning in. Very grateful for you to be present with us. And if I've missed any comments of people who have tuned in and joined, know that I appreciate you and thank you for being here. So, yeah, there is going to come a point where I'm very, very needing an assistant to help me with the little bits that are, you know, the details that are vitally important, but they take a colossal amount of time. So I have organized. I mean, I'm a very organized guy when it comes to when it comes to these things. So I have a spreadsheet where everything is laid out impeccably, and I don't mind tooting my own trumpet with that. Lucas will say I've got folders and folders and folders and folders with subfolders. So yeah, and that's brilliant, you know. Again, so the beautiful thing is that 2 of us are carrying on David's legacy, you know, and I think that's really, really phenomenal, and I tip my hat to him if I had one. Where is it? I tip my hat to him. It's lovely. It's amazing to have props close by. So right, guys, well, we're about 3 minutes from our first meditation. We'll spend that time with David, so I'll just try to go through these last little bits. Like I say, I want to also make the time to chat with you guys. So that was my mother's dream. Very interesting. So we are now going to expand into the rise and fall of civilizations and what happened and why. We're going to start with the Epic of Gilgamesh. Now, I know I've just said I'm going to keep going, but what I am going to do is actually I'm going to stop. Savvy, I send you my love, my friend. I appreciate your comment. There's nothing... You have to understand, my friend, that what you may have seen with what David was sharing, yeah, there might have been some things that you don't agree with, and I appreciate that comment being sorted. Savvy, you're welcome to be here, my friend, because we appreciate every soul that comes to spend time with us. You won't have seen the other... What are we on? Number 6 now? 3 times 6 is... 18, 20 hours. You won't have seen probably the other 20 hours of stuff that we've talked about, but you will be, I would say, interested to know the development of what we've been chatting, because it involves you, my friend. It involves your sovereignty and freedom. It involves this idea of the Great Global Garden, which isn't a fantasy or a mythology. It is directly connected with the future of this planet on every single level. So if you're willing to stick around and give us an idea, give us a chance to share with you what we're talking about, fair enough. But like I say, please be respectful in the comments section, because all the people here are very loving, very kind, decent people, and all I ask is that you'd walk that path with us, and anything else, I send you my love, because I understand how you feel. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Miem, I appreciate you very much. It's very kind of you to share that. Very, very kind. Prince Royal says, a few minutes behind, but that rainbow door portal reminds me of the concept of the Einstein-Rosen bridge, which is a theoretical tunnel connecting two different points in space and time. Now, isn't that interesting? Now, if I'm not mistaken, through some of David's wisdom teachings, I'm certain he mentioned about that. I could be mistaken. I mean, again, I just wish that we had access to those videos and that stuff. I know somebody's doing that at the minute, and I haven't had a chance to go and double check on that. But anyway, maybe in time we'll be able to go back and have a look. So, Karina, I appreciate that. Look, again, Savvy, if you're still here, if not, send my love to you, my friend. What are we gonna do, mate? What are we gonna do? It's life is life. People have their opinion on things people say. I respect it. I can't. I've had a lot of hate, a lot of love. It comes with the game. It comes with the game of life. It comes with the territory. It is what it is. But remember, what we're talking about in this is restoring the Great Global Garden, our forests, our ecosystems, our soils. So if that's delusional to you, my friend, then no idea what to say. Your vegetables come from the soil, your fruit comes from the soil. If you're a meat eater, your animals are eating the grass, which comes from the soil. So, delusional or not, we gotta have a look at our soil, buddy. We gotta have a look. So, the soil is what you place your feet on. So I send you my love. Anyway, that's all I'll say on that. Soul Coach Suzanne says, James, absolutely a true gentleman and doing amazing with this. I wish I could help you. Yes, this material is up on Tuesday. Oh, amazing, Suzanne. Thank you. Thank you for your words, and thank you for sharing that. We got to get organised with that, guys, because I'd love to save those links. I know someone was sharing them bit by bit on YouTube, but it'd be nice to have a full library and figure out how we can do that. So we'll have to figure that out. Asna says, ironic that the meat that is consumed is vegetarian. I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, it's interesting when, I suppose, calculating the sort of the land use which we have in, which we'll probably get into that. So one thing I am going to share with you guys, which will probably be, apart from when we honour David, it will be the second most important live that we have done, and it will be to do with our directive or our slides to do with the Great Global Garden. So we're wanting to keep it to around 7, and it will literally be the guidelines. It will be the guidelines of how we make this happen. So, right, I don't want to... We've got a lot of slides to go through. We might have to make this 6 hours and 33 minutes at this point. But, yeah. If I've missed any comments of love and appreciation, just know, very kind of you. Thank you, guys. Just having a look here. Yeah. Such a shame, guys, because I prefer spending a huge amount of time getting back to your comments, but I also want to get through the content, so it is what it is. We'll go with it. Alright, so let's do our first peace meditation, and we're going to spend that time with David. So I'm just going to pop my headphones on. We're going to come over to the full monitor. We're going to come over to David Wilcock Live. Alright guys, so I'm going to go full screen, remove myself, and then I'm going to mute my mic in just a second. So I love you all. Take a nice deep breath in, relax, and we will spend these next few moments with David.
Here we go. I'd like you to close your eyes now. Let me get seated in my chair properly here.
There we go.
Put both feet flat on the floor. Take a nice deep breath. Let yourself relax. Start the breathing process. Let yourself breathe however you feel comfortable for you. Feeling a strong sense of relaxation. Finding yourself going deep into the stillness. And just let it be easy. Let the stress melt off of your body. Let your breathing follow a path leading you into calm serenity, deep relaxation, no strain, only peace, love, positivity, as your breathing lets you go deep, deep into stillness. Lets you relax more and more, feeling the presence of these beings of light that are always around us, but only now are they really starting to let us know what is going on, where this is taking us, the glorious events that this great revealing is bringing to the forefront. Finding the peace in this moment, finding the stillness, feeling the love of these angelic beings who've always had our backs and want nothing more than for us to be peaceful, to be smiling and happy, and for our planet to be free of pain, violence, suffering, and tyranny. Think back to the many wonderful statements that we heard in this week's time loop. What an incredible gift it is that we are getting this time looped information. What an incredible gift it is that we are so close to the stunning events that are anticipated and to the great revealing of what's really going on in the world, who we are, and where we are headed as a civilization, as a planet. The galactic family reunion, the second coming of Christ, the glorification of all those things that were considered to be religious theories or conspiracy theories. Maybe not. Maybe we're learning that these beings really do exist. So imagine right now the light being standing in front of you, human looking with a smile on his or her face. Imagine this telepathic interaction, no words are spoken, and imagine the deep sense of peace and calm that you feel as this being is looking at you with total love. And you realize that any judgment or criticism you had of yourself was never necessary, for karma always balanced out anything that you did that was not in alignment with the light. And the being loves you just the way you are. You are loved, you are supported, and now you realize the full commitment that you made is of such great significance. All of these different lifetimes you've led, coming into a whole now, a new, higher calling for you, a reorientation of your life, the final understanding that all of these seemingly sappy, spiritual, lovey-dovey things were actually the main point of why you were here and what you were put on earth to do and to live for. And you feel that sense of renewal, that sense of appreciation, that knowingness that you are a good person, that you belong here, You deserve love. You deserve to be respected. You deserve to be treated with kindness. You deserve to have your needs met. And there is so much love for you. These beings have always felt this way, and it was only you who may have failed to see the true glory and the spiritual wonder that you are as a being. Feel this love. Take it in. Look the being in the eyes and understand that the promise has been kept. The words that we have heard in the Michael prophecies go far beyond the level of the rational mind. Time loops in July 2006. Time loops in February 2025. Far beyond any possible extension of the idea of coincidence or happenstance. The reason these time loops are so accurate is to tell us that the future prophecies we have been given will also come true. We are going to go through renewal. We are going to go through a spectacular dimensional shift. Apparently it will be this year. We now have 8 different prophecies all pointing towards the year 2025, including the glorious Prayag Mahakumbh Mela, or Mela, festival that's coming in from India, the 144-year cycle, culminating on February the 26th. And wouldn't you know, it's this Friday where we're expecting many things to occur. The list will soon be dropped, and we are so excited. We beckon with gratitude and open hearts the coming of all of these angelic beings, the fulfillment of all the promises and all the great spiritual teachings, and the knowingness that we are not alone. We never were alone. We never will be alone. Breathing ever more deeply into these silent corridors, hearing the gentle footfalls of your shoes on the marble as you walk these corridors of the divine, the ascended world, to know once and for all, truly and forever, that you indeed are the light, you are the love, you are the infinite mind of the cosmos manifested into a perfected human form, and it is only your own sense of limitation that prevents you from seeing how you are truly one with all others, the plants, the animals, entangled in a beautiful quantum communication, leading you to the greatest understanding you've ever had, that in fact it is time to assume the mantle of the Christ, to walk as an ascended being, to share your glorious gifts with all of humanity, to shower others with blessings, with healing power, to show them the art of levitation, telekinesis, telepathic communication, remembrance of past lives, and the full activation of your ascended body potential, such that you will shine like the stars forever and ever. And so it is. And now let's drift back on into the room here. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. We're at 5,000 viewers right now, 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is David Wilcock. I hope you have a great week. Let's buckle up because anything could happen, and we will see you next week. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll be back here next Sunday, barring anything crazy. Bye for now. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Okay. Take your time if you're into the full meditation there. Give yourself just a moment to come back into the room. Don't forget to share one thing that you're grateful with, something that may have come to you. And bring yourself nice and present. That's our first meditation. Let us not forget that we are working together, present here, activating the meditation effect through our consciousness, through our imagination, through our presence. And so, yeah, just bring yourself back, and we will continue in just a moment. So Lydia says, very touching and healing. I agree with you completely. Karina says, bye for now. Yeah, we're gonna do that again, that exact live, that exact meditation at the end of our live. So we will hear from David again. Cosmos says, he was so kind. He was indeed. Tree Dog, love you, David. We do indeed. Shapeshifter, I actually think it's those mind-altering frequencies the US government uses. Stephen Greer talked about that tech once. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. We might have to go into that at some point. You know, I don't like it, the idea of it. I'm not saying it isn't true. I'm not. That would be silly. But I don't like the idea of the people being disempowered. I really don't, because that's disempowering, to be able to affect you without your permission. It's a big concept. Bradeen says, David was reminding us that we are divine beings. Truly there is no death. Absolutely. And one thing that really astounded me, now a lot of you have been here from the beginning of this live. If you haven't, I mentioned about humanity reclaiming the mantle of responsibility and being a beacon for the rest of the universe. And David said something very interesting there about the mantle of the Christ, you know. Okay. Did you hear that? That was really odd. That was... So I don't know what's going on there, guys, but the bottle just... It's coincidence, alright? It's just coincidence. No one's believing that was anything crazy. Okay. So, yeah, I found that very interesting, talking about the mantle of the Christ. You know, very curious, because years ago I had this concept come forward about humanity reclaiming the mantle of responsibility for the planet, and it's been with me ever since. As well as the finite studies of the manifestation of physical reality. That was that humanity's next phase, what it does next, is the finite studies of the manifestation of physical reality. Tammy says, grateful for this chat, and you, James, tears for the loss of David because he didn't know his own divinity. Yeah, I agree with you, Tammy, and you know, I think that in a lot of David's innocence, you know, in his character, you know, people, again, the thing is that when people don't resonate with a person, like the gentleman earlier, you know, when people don't resonate with a person, when people are at odd ends because somebody isn't quite like them, they can very quickly go on a personal attack. I mean, it's going to happen to me. You know, I can guarantee you it will happen to me. And I really, before it probably would have bothered me, but I know now that it doesn't matter, because there's nothing that I care about in this world more than the ethical, ecological empowerment of every human. You know, every human has a parcel of Eden, a piece of Eden on this planet that is rightfully theirs. You can't become a wealthy overlord with that. You know, you can't become a ridiculously powerful oligarch or a land gentry when you're trying to restore the land back to the people. It's the minute that somebody had more than someone else, something's not right, you know. Or there's something that needs to be talked about there, and that person needs to explain what's going on. So, you know, it's yeah. Bradeen says that happens here too. Bottles making cracking noise. I know. I always find it funny because I think Annie and I had a moment the other day. We were talking, and the bottle just expanded with the heat, and it was like, okay, guess we're going with that one. Soul Coach Suzanne says that was so touching. David became so kind and compassionate that I just loved him more and more. I loved what he says there in that meditation on the mantle of the Christ. Please do play that again. Yeah, interesting. Did you hear what I just said, or was there a lag? That's really fascinating. You might have been responding to me, I don't know, but that would have been crazy if you weren't. That's a really interesting synchronicity. We know the truth about David and what we are doing here and with each other, and you, James, that's all that matters. Yeah, of course. You know, coming together, you know, the discipline. Can I just point out the discipline of all of you to return each Sunday for us to do these global peace meditations speaks volumes. You know, it is to me, one of the highest ways to honour the legacy of David. You know, he was brilliant in many ways, and we're doing this 3 hours and 33 minutes of presence with David. Amazing. You know, amazing. Next meditation, please take a bathroom break. I'll be good this time. I've got my fruit. Here you go, guys. I got my apple. I got my blackberries and my dates. So I won't be passing out this week, alright? Not that I actually did last week, for anybody who's only just tuning in, but it was close. I did miss some really X-Ray, I noticed you come back. X-Ray says, damn, I miss him. David's knowledge base was so immense and awesome. It was, without a doubt. His ability to retain information was fascinating. Enlightenment 101, thank you for coming in with the peace and the light and the love. Appreciate you. MK Lotus, thank you so much for this. It is my absolute pleasure. Thank you for spending this time with us. Very kind of you. Prince Royal says, I remember that show. Amazing, Prince. I couldn't watch every single one of David's shows because, with what it was going on in life, I caught a few of them, but I know a few of you will have seen the vast majority, and that's really amazing to know. Tree Dog says, love you, David. Agree with you, my friend. Lydia says, very touching and healing. Yeah, absolutely. Right, guys. So 42 double that becomes 42 1 hours and 24 minutes. So at 1 hour 24 we'll do our next one. But right now we're going to do a very brief, although I don't know if that's possible, recap of the Epic of Gilgamesh. So if I'm going too quick, let me know. But we are certainly going to be just trying to get through this to get to the next stuff that we're talking about. Lucas says, great to see so many beautiful souls returning each week. I agree. And Annie is at work tonight, or else she would be with us, but Lucas is doing a beautiful job supporting me, because Lucas is equally a part of this. It might be my face and voice talking on this, but he's been on this path for 18 years. Our friend Michael has been on this path for 50 years. He's a very old soul. For Lucas's support is deeply appreciated as well. Bradine says, Christ consciousness, we all possess or embody this. Do you not yet know? Of course, and that's the beauty of it, is that we are all intrinsically connected to that philosophy of light. This is why when you cut a photon of light, you see that geometry. So without a doubt, I agree. Jay Parsons, welcome back. It's the first comment I've seen. Sorry if I missed any others. Jay Parsons says, yes, it definitely is amazing. I feel like more and more people are waking up, David, and all definitely have had an effect, without a doubt. I agree with you completely. Cool. So, back over here. The Epic of Gilgamesh. So the source of this is, and I am happy to share with you, 2 seconds, I have the book. If you want to know where all of this information has come from, The Last Hours of Ancient Sunlight by Tom Hartman. This was Lucas's suggestion. It is why we are on this conversation for the past 2 weeks. It's a very glossy cover. The Last Hours of Ancient Sunlight by Tom Hartman. Amazing book. If you want to get that, or if you haven't already, highly recommend it. For Monitor. According to the Epic of Gilgamesh, the oldest written story in the world, one of the first kings of the earliest Sumerian civilization, the Uruks, was a man named Gilgamesh. He was the first mortal to defy the forest god Humbaba, who had been entrusted by the chief Sumerian deity Enlil to protect the cedar forests of Lebanon from mankind. King Gilgamesh wanted to build a great city, Uruk, to immortalize his contribution to Sumerian civilization. So he and his loggers rebelled against Humbaba and began to cut the forests, which then stretched from Jordan to the sea in Lebanon. Now it's powerful because a gentleman called Jeff Lawton is doing an amazing job of restoring a lot of the ecosystems in Jordan. So very interesting. Tammy says, it was suggested to me to read that book, but I didn't do. Thank you, James, for this. No worries. Were you going to get a chance to... little reminder, I got this one for £3, so we're depending on where you are, $5, $6, £3, €5, I'm sure you could pick it up for. The story ends with Gilgamesh decapitating the forest god Humbaba, infuriating the god of gods Enlil. Now, Lucas did correct my pronunciation of one of the words. I don't know if I've got to it yet. If I butcher it again, I apologise. Enlil then avenges the death of Humbaba by making the water in his kingdom undrinkable and the fields utterly barren, killing off Gilgamesh and his people. Now, a few people did mention in the comments, Free Queen and somebody else, I very much apologise, about the clay. Somebody, Karina, was it you, Karina? I believe it was. You mentioned about the clay. You were reading something and the clay had poisoned something. I am sorry if I've lost that comment. Ah, yes, Karina. Yesterday I was watching a program where they're rediscovering ancient civilizations, temples, and looking for the tombs of the Snake Kings. Interestingly, the civilization failed due to a layer of toxic clay that poisoned them all. I would love to know more about that. I think that's fascinating, and I wonder if it still is connected with deforestation. I would love to know, because something about that, a layer of clay being revealed, tells me that something was not right with the forest ecosystem. So that's fascinating. I would love to know more about that. So yeah. Right. Whoopsie. The Epic of Gilgamesh is the earliest recorded story of the downstream siltation and desertification caused by the extensive destruction of forest lands. Lebanon went from over 90% forest, the famous Cedars of Lebanon, to less than 7% over a 1500-year period, causing downwind rainfall to decrease by 80%. So again, we have this immensely important realization of the power of our forests. Then when we're linking it with forest gardening, which is directly connected with, being able to reconnect with the Garden of Eden, if you will, the 500 plus edible species in a temperate climate, the 5,000 in a tropical climate, it's directly connected. We have to return to our forests, regardless of what it looks like. So remember my dream, the Cedars of Lebanon was the flag that AI used, which is completely mental. The fact that the dream that I had then resulted in in this imagery being presented and then talking about the Epic of Gilgamesh was truly incredible. Jay Parsons, bless you so much, my friend. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. That's very kind of you. Truly generous. I appreciate it very much. And, well, I tell you what, guys, I know we did this last week, and quite honestly, I'm more inclined to honour just spending this time with you, but I do have to admit I'm in a relatively tricky place in my in my situation. So if you are willing, it is absolutely impeccably not expected, but I'll pop a little goal here for some super chats if anybody is willing to support me with their in any way, shape or form. But I do want you to know it is absolutely not expected in any way, shape or form. I love you all very dearly. Jay Parsons, very, very kind of you to share that. So I've popped a little goal in there if you're willing to support me, because, sometimes I know people are in those circumstances, but in any other case, I know I will be okay one way or another. The support will come, even if it is a dire situation right now. I did think about it earlier with regards to me and David with that, but anyway, so not expected. I love you all. Let's get back to the slides. So we diving into this, trees and their roots are an important part of the water cycle. As a result, millions of acres of land in the Fertile Crescent area turned to desert or scrubland and remain relatively barren to this day, fertile no more. Now imagine how wonderful and beautiful it would be to be able to restore this area that we're talking about being desertified and becoming scrubland and unusable. How remarkable would it be to restore this again to this wonderful global garden that is talked about in our ancient history. MK Lotus, bless you so much. Thank you so dearly from the bottom of my heart for sending that $20 donation. That's very kind of you. I mean it a lot when I say that this supports at this point in my life where for whatever reason I find myself in the situation that I do. You have no idea how much that support means to me. Lucas is working his socks off, and so is Annie, bless her. That's why she's not here today. She's working her socks off. He's working his socks off for us to continue living. So, I pour every ounce of my time into this. So for that support, MK Lotus, very, very kind of you. Thank you. And I know that not everybody can support, and it doesn't matter. Your presence with me is of equal value. It really is. So financial support, presence, both appreciated on the highest level. So MK, appreciate you very much. Very kind of you. Okay, guys. So the staple food of the Mesopotamians was barley. But over a period of several hundred years of continuous growth of barley on irrigated lands, the land became exhausted and had such high levels of salt carried in by the irrigation water that it would no longer grow crops. So again, you have this important realization that single crop agriculture, monoculture cropping, does not work in the long run. Okay, it does not work in the long run. What happens is you have, as this said here, you have nutrient exhausted lands because the nutrients of the soil goes into the vegetables, it's carted off elsewhere, people consume that food and nothing gets replaced into the land. Whereas if you are using a forest garden system, the nutrients is consistently being recycled, and if people don't find it disgusting, if you use human compost, so human manure, so if you have compost toilets where you go to the bathroom in a compost toilet, and you can make them smell fine, can I just point out, you can make it where they aren't unpleasant to be in. You can use that on your garden, and people have done that with great success, So I don't know how people feel about that, but they've done it with great success. Sally, bless you. Thank you so much for the $10 donation. That's very, very kind of you. I appreciate you all very much. You're really, really helping me out with this, Sally. And I know you were here last weekend as well, so thank you for coming back and being with us. It's an honor to be supported by you, so that's extremely kind. Thank you so much. Very kind of you guys. I send you my deepest love. So okay. Deborah says, David's mission made my Sunday, and now you do, James. Bless you, Deborah. That's a lovely thing to say. Thank you so much. And like I say, you guys make my mission. So being present with me, being willing to support me at a time in my life when it's it's quite tight. Being present with your attention and your love and your kindness is, it's really, really amazing. Asana says, urokinase is urine that has been gathered from animals. And ironically, obviously, I was on a farm that had slaughter-free cattle, so they had cows, and they didn't they only had dairy cows, and they didn't send them to a slaughterhouse. And we would use some of that urine with the compost bays. So we had really nice compost bays, and when you have a certain mixture, the compost is amazing because it starts to heat up, so you get a succession of bacteria which then becomes fungi, so you have a really complete compost which you can then use in your vegetable beds. So yeah, and we had the resource of animal urine. A lot of people are immediately going to say, how on earth did you collect that? And the guy who I was working with, oftentimes when they were in the sort of milking area, they're not going anywhere, so they're gracing the ground with themselves, and so he would get it then. So yeah, pleasant, isn't it? Isn't it a wonderful conversation, guys? But it's powerful. Myra says, we use cow dung for fertilizer for growing food. Absolutely, and it's perfect. To be to have that composure, or what word am I looking for here? It's gone out of my head. The makeup of things like animal manure, green material, nitrogen-based material. You can make amazing compost. So yeah. Right, guys, coming back. Just going to take a little sip of my tea here. Okay. So remember, again, we have this example of single crop farming. Even if they had a few, when forest gardening is 500 species, agriculture is often one or two or three. And it's not a fully sustainable system. Because of the rapid destruction of the was equal in value to some gem and mineral ores. Neighbouring countries were conquered for their wood supplies, as well as to get fertile land to grow barley. Vast areas of timberland along the Euphrates and Tigris, Lucas, if I pronounced that wrong, you'll have to tell me, brother. Tigris, it's got to be Tigris. Rivers were cut bare, increasing the siltation of their irrigation canals and cropland and further decreasing downwind rainfall. The result of this local climatic change more than 5,000 years ago was widespread famine. I remember, guys, I'm going slightly quicker. Compost, not composer. Yeah, did I say composer? Look, tea. I'll have some more tea. It'll bring me in. Yes, poop. It was a lot. It was a lot of that. I had to poop the scoop the poop, quite a lot. But I don't mind working hard. I'm not afraid to that. Remember, guys, I'm moving through these slides a bit quicker because we have covered this, but I want to keep it fully relevant. The collapse of the last Mesopotamian Empire happened around 4,000 years ago, and the records they left behind show that only at the very end of their empire did they realise how they had destroyed their precious source of food and fuel by razing their forest and despoiling the rest of their environment. But although things looked good at the time, they didn't realise it wasn't sustainable. It only worked as long as they had other people's lands to conquer. Once they ran out of neighbours, their decline was sudden and devastating, just like a Ponzi scheme. So these are the words of Tom Hartman. But again, you find when you are not engaging with the land that is based upon forest garden principles, you have a depletion of the soil, which eventually leads to the downfall of civilization. So I don't want people to feel, I don't want to inspire fear or concern here, because we are talking about the Great Global Garden, and I believe in my bones and in my soul that the more we carry on this conversation, the quicker and swifter that it begins to connect and resonate with the people of our planet. So I trust, and it's as simple as that. Okay, so did any other civilizations fall in a similar way? So I have a few new ones for you this week, so I wanted to make this a lot more flowy in what we're talking about. The Mesopotamian Empire, again coming from our dear friend Tom Hartman. The collapse of the Mesopotamian Empire, Potamian Empire, paved the way for the rise of Greece as a worldwide empire in the late Bronze Age. Between 2000 BC and 1500 BC, the Greeks adopted widespread agricultural practices similar to the Mesopotamian system. By the 13th century BC, this increased food supply caused the Greeks to begin clearing huge tracts of their forest to provide living space, fuel, and cropland for their ever-growing population. So we find an interesting element here. I just want to talk about this for 3 minutes. You find an interesting thing here because the advancement and progression of a civilization means that you start to branch out, right? You have a higher population, you start to branch out, you need more land. But again, because we have this evacuation from the Garden of Eden, the Great Global Garden, because you have this evacuation from the principle of the Great Global Garden, you have the destruction of ecosystems and the fall of civilizations. So it is imperative that the conversation, which is now going to expand very quickly, we're going to have a lot of people who are going to hear what we're talking about here. It's very important that we expand this conversation broad so that people can hear. It's simple, right? Political climate, societal climate, what's happening across countries, across the world, the horrors, the beauties, all of it. There is a simple theme that connects every single soul on the planet, and it is the Great Global Garden. Simple as that, hands down. Again, I am still waiting for a better, more obvious, more logical, more beautiful, more wonderful, more incredible solution that somebody is willing to present that we can all get behind right now. I'm yet to hear it. So I'm not saying about that with you guys. Love you guys dearly. I know you're pretty with us. But I've been posting it on social media and online, and I'm waiting for somebody to present something that makes more sense, and I'm yet to hear it. The pursuit of the Great Global Garden is what makes complete and utter sense. It solves every problem, and it returns the consciousness of our people back to the impeccable, unconditional support network, which is the forest garden. But not just the forest with just acorns or beech, a 500 to 5,000, depending on climate, species forest garden, which just is like, could you imagine it? I walked up behind us. We have honeysuckle. It is a plant that gives off a lot of its scent in the evening to attract moths, if I'm not mistaken. And there's 3 of them out of the 500 buds that are open, and the scent of this flower was just transporting. It takes you to a different dimension. It was just incredible, really incredible. You imagine your garden being, having 3 varieties in different locations. You're walking around with this dimension of all that is around you. It's just incredible. So yeah. Coming back over. They also used tens of thousands of acres. So just to keep us on track there, guys. So obviously by the 13th century BC, this increased food supply caused the Greeks to begin clearing huge tracts of their forest to provide living space, fuel and cropland for their ever-growing population. They also used tens of thousands of acres of forest wood, to feed the bronze furnaces which they were famous. So remember, they didn't have coal back then, so they were using wood in order to smelt ore and make their coins, make their metals. So, you know, colossal amounts of wood were used for the progression and advancement of humanity. Now, if you look at where we are today, I suppose we have to acknowledge that, you know, all right, we're here, you know, we've got to this point now, but now it's not to look back at our history, I don't think, and be regretful, but instead to look forward and be like, okay, you know, we're going back to a much more beautiful place. Honeysuckle is sweet if you eat it. Amazing. Well, I might try one. I don't know what variety it is, but I might try one behind me when I go for my walk, probably a little bit later on. Lifeline? Is that Lifeline? Welcome. I don't know if I've seen your comment here before. It's blooming right now. Thank you so much for being present. Lifeline, very kind of you to be here. Appreciate you very much. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Leilu says, I love honeysuckle. Absolutely. And Shapeshifter says, you have to bring everyone on one page for that. Buddha couldn't do it. Well, right. I'm assuming you're talking about what we were saying about uniting the entire planet on... Well, yeah, you're right. And let's see. You know, who knows what the future holds? You know, who knows how this is going to unfold? But the more that we devote our presence to this philosophy, and the more you share it and the more people get it, I believe with all my heart and bones. So who knows, maybe all of the forces of all of our great teachers of old are going to come forward to help us to share this with the world and get this out there. So yeah. The decline of the civilization, the Mesopotamian Empire, is linked in the historical record to the population outstripping their available fuel, which was wood. Isn't that interesting? Second civilization that is shown that their downfall was the removal of wood. By 600 BC, most of Greece was an environmental wasteland, with denuded hillsides eroding into oversalted rivers, again, have that premise, and irrigated cropland collapsing under increasing levels of accumulated irrigation salts and nutrient exhaustion. The same philosophy yet again, right? The same philosophy is the removal from the forest, removing the forest, not living in the principles of the forest, desolates your land. And this is again, when you look at Arthurian mythology, the idea of the blue rose. If the blue rose is not looked after by the tribal leader and it decays and it dies, the land becomes a wasteland. You know, this is also to do with the king and queen's responsibility towards the land too. Bradeen says, what we focus upon is what we create. I agree with you completely. Deborah, much love. Yelena says, after 2030, big change is coming. Absolutely. And we're laying the foundations as we speak. Asana says, the centre pestle is the sweet bit. Beautiful. I'll try that later. I'll let you know. A bounty was offered to farmers to grow olive trees. So you can see here, interestingly, if we're to acknowledge what these records of our history say, they started to realise. They started to get it. We've taken our trees away. We've made a grave error. Okay, so a bounty was offered to farmers to grow olive trees on the hillside, as the desperate Greeks found that only olive trees could grow and hold to the fragile, steep slopes, but it was all too late. I placed her wrote in his... Is that a mistake? Oh, right, okay. This I placed bit is... I must have dictated this bit, so that must be a different name. I apologise. I'll have to find out what that was. I placed her... that's supposed to be a name. Wrote in his Critias... Critias? Lucas, tell me how to pronounce it, brother. I've no idea. What now remains, compared with what then existed, is like the skeleton of a sick man, all the fat and soft earth having wasted away, and only the bare framework of the land being left. In fact, I have it open on this page, so I can tell you exactly who that was, because it was either Plato or Socrates. What was it? 80? It was 80, right? As Plato wrote in his Critias. Oh, I'm not going to be able... Hold on. Let me just do this. As Plato wrote in his Critias. Right there. Can you see that? It's a bit blurry, isn't it? Don't know why that's doing that. You can't see it, but it was Plato. So the spelling mistake on the other slide was Plato. So as Plato wrote in his Critias, whichever one that is, that's what it is. I'm very aware. We're very close to our next meditation, so we'll try to get through this one, and then we'll have a moment, and then continue. There you go. All right, then. Next, we're on the Roman Empire. So I think what we'll do now, have just a moment. Again, guys, I'm trying to... Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't have anything to say on that. That's fine. Okay. Right, take just a moment. All right, guys, we're going to take the speed down a few notches. So we're about to engage in our second meditation of the evening. Remember that our meditations have every intention to use that beautiful meditation effect of each of us, expand our light and our energy out to the world, and make a real, palpable effect on our planet and its people. Okay. Let's not forget about our beautiful instruments. Now, this is quite close. I remember it was very loud before. Pop that there. Just bring yourself into the present moment. Sorry. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just relax. See behind your eyelids. Bring yourself into the present moment. Place your hand on your heart if you will. Feel your heart. Feel your presence. And we are now going to spend the next few moments doing one of our beautiful global peace meditations. Take another nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just relax. Your presence right here and right now on this planet is the true definition of a miracle. Your spirit inhabits your wonderful body, and your body, I wish to use the word flesh, although I don't know how you feel about that. Your flesh, your blood, the systems within your body are working daily in the most wonderful and miraculous way. If you ever need to see the divinity of our world, if you ever need to know what it's all about, look in the mirror. Feel the beating of your heart. Feel the expansion of your lungs, breathing in the breath of life. You're here with an amazing capacity to do wonderful things. You already are doing wonderful things. So as we're sat here, I invite you to see a little ball of golden or white light in the center of your chest, and just imagine it expanding out through your body until it's surrounding you completely. This very real very scientific, quantum-based, toroidal field that you are creating with your intention and attention is a safe space that can bring you the greatest health, healing, joy, and abundance. You are a child of all that is, and as a child of all that is, you are equal in ability and capacity and potential. To prove this, if you are a mother or father, I know most parents want to see their children, their sons, their daughters, doing better than they did, to see them thrive, doing wonderful things. I believe this is the same with Great Spirit, all that is, God. As you embody this beautiful golden sphere around you, I once again invite you to expand this sphere out of your home or where you are, touching every blade of grass, every insect, every tree, every bird, every particle, atom in our skies. Moving further through your village or town or city, expanding to encompass your entire country, the oceans, the forests, the ice caps, until eventually you're holding the attention of the entire planet in your awareness. Know that you've got this. You can hold this attention. You are a wonderful, beautiful, powerful individual. And as we all collectively hold this space for our planet, I'd like to invite us to wish peace, love, abundance, prosperity, and ultimately the awakening of the people to their own truth, and hopefully to the wonderful delights of the forest garden, our return back home to that Garden of Eden. I'm going to leave you now for a few moments. When you've finished, gently bring that beautiful, powerful sphere of love back to your heart, knowing it's impeccably cleansed. And then when you're ready, bring yourself back to the room. Okay, guys. Take your time. No rush. When you've got a moment, I would love to hear something you're grateful for, or something that may have came to you during that meditation we've just done. And if you're willing, please feel free to share it in the comments. So I know there's a little bit of a delay for me, so if you get to this point in the video and I'm not saying a great deal, I'm just waiting for that meditation to finish so that some comments to come in, because I want to engage with you guys. So as always, I'm very, very, very grateful. Brizzy says it's 3:33 where I am. How Bradine Donnelly says, okay, so when you said awakening, I had one of those cracks occur in the room. Interesting. Would you care to explain more? Do you mean like what my mother experienced, or is this something something new? Are you opening portals? Very interesting. Suzanne O'Shaughnessy says, grateful to be alive every day. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I agree with you completely. I really do. You know, and it's life can get difficult, guys. You know, let's not brush over that fact. Life can be difficult. It can be challenging. It can be quite a journey, but it always comes back around. Past 2.5 years, my dear brother Lucas has been supporting me. My mother has been supporting me. Annie herself, at times, has definitely been supporting me. Yeah, it's hard when life is quiet and you're ready to go and nothing happens. It's difficult, but stay focused. Chrisia, thank you so much for tuning in. 1, 2, 3, 4 is cool. It is indeed. Asana says, how incredibly simple it is to bring love and light to the whole world. To teach others to do this is a blessing and one of the best gifts we can share and receive. I agree with you completely, without a doubt. Free Queen says, I found myself chatting to David in my mind, feeling grateful for all of us coming together like this, trying to hold both extremes of both grief and gratitude. Of course, Free Queen, and you know, it's no one would ever think otherwise, you know, for feeling that challenge and that difficulty, and you know, being my ability to channel my sadness is because we're with him every Sunday. You know, we're with him every Sunday. I know now that every word that comes out of my all right. Bradine says it was a cracking sound from the washer dryer. Fair enough. I know that we're here with him every Sunday, and I know that the more that we pursue this path and we do bring that other world to earth, let's just say that, you know, if Yelena is right, or if he's still here, if he isn't, you know, because I know that, you know, people are sharing what they share, but how can we always know? You know, there's about 100 people that shared different ideas about the situation. But like I say, love you, Yelena. If he has, then we're going to see him again soon. You know, we're bringing we're bringing that other world here. We're bringing heaven on earth. I know this is a lot of far out things. You know, if anyone ever scrapes these videos, you never know what they can do with it. But we have got to say it. You know, we've got to understand that the dimensional nature of our world, the quantum mechanics that is being discussed, that we've all known about for a long time, but they're bringing it forward. Dimensional awareness of what's happening in our world. You know. Anyway, I believe one way or another we're bringing it here. So, Prince Royal, I hear you, Deborah. And Deborah said, lol, there are several handmade ice cream shops in my neighbourhood that offer lavender ice cream. I only eat it on special occasions when I feel I deserve a reward. Well, I tell you what, I'm now really craving lavender ice cream. I'm joking. I'm not joking, but I'm joking. That's beautiful. Shapeshifter says, I'm grateful for the internet so I could hang out with like-minded people, not many around me. I agree with you. That's beautiful. You know, and hopefully we get to a point where when we're doing what we're doing, more people can come and join us. Great Popcorn, welcome, my friend. Thank you for coming back. Grateful for today and all of you. Beautiful. Love that very much. Did I miss anything? I think we are all good, guys. I'm just going to have a little drink. And I hope you don't mind. I'm going to take a little bite of my date. Dates are lovely. Again, I don't know if it is possible to grow dates in the UK. In time, I know it's not. With greenhouses or polytunnels, or, you know, if we have a slight shift of climate, which was connected to what David said with the precession of the equinox. Mira, again, sorry, Mira, if I'm Mira. David could never not be there. I agree with you. Absolutely. Wouldn't it just, Shapeshifter? That's the path. Okay, thank you guys for being patient with probably my sloppy eating on the mic. Let's get back to it. So that was 1:24. 42 minutes on 1:24 is 2 hours and 4 minutes. 1:24, 24. 1 hour, 2 hours and 8 minutes. Okay, great, cool. If I've miscalculated that, then anyway. All right then. So now we are discussing the collapse of the Roman Empire. Again, connected to our dear Tom Hartman in this book. Great book. Similarly to the Mesopotamian Empire, Rome had its own needs for wood. By 200 BC, the forest of what we now call Italy were all wiped out to meet the Roman needs for fuel and shelter, to warm the public baths, and to smelt metals. Large quantities of wood were necessary to smelt silver from ore, refine the metal, and mint it into coins, which are the basis of Rome's monetary system. Now, that's important, because you see, I'm not going to sit here and say money is the root of all evil. It's, it's certainly, I believe, is a means of control, a means to take it where instead of having individuals who are slaves, you now have people who are working, yes, for their etc. Whoopsie, phone fell off. Just got to cross my leg over. But I believe that is a large component of, again, the removal of the Great Global Garden. So we're in this system at the minute, so we've got to live by it for now. But, in time, when you have all that you need for your body to work at the highest, most proficient level, is there a need? Don't know. Who knows? That's up for discussion. I know we have a lot of luxuries. I mean, I can't have a lot of luxuries around me in modern times. So anyway, luxuries like my, little Koshi chime. Someone made it, and there was a financial exchange to see it through. So when Italy's forests were exhausted around the 1st century AD, they repeated doublings in the cost of the reported, I believe that should be. They reported doublings in the cost of wood to smelt silver, which caused a monetary crisis. The first huge crack in the Roman Empire. Isn't that funny, Bradine? The first huge crack in the Roman Empire. Chrysia, actually in scripture, it actually says the love of money is the root of all evil. So if we have it in perspective, it's a tool. Absolutely. So, unless you had the King of England returning 6.6 billion acres of land with no financial exchange, right now there is that sort of level where, the money could buy the land for us to demonstrate this. When you have a demonstration that's really on the money, you can start connecting with, the entire world. We've been on that for 6 years. We tried in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different occasions. It wasn't the time, and that's okay, because it will be at some point. Gail says, I'm thankful to have this beautiful group of people, thankful that David created it, and thankful that James is carrying on, all done in the most loving way. But absolutely, Gail, I appreciate that. Very lovely. Deanna, welcome. Jumping in late, trees are our guardians. Absolutely. Thank you for being here. About that same time, the productivity of Roman croplands began to collapse because of salination, big reveal, soil exhaustion, and decreased rainfall from the loss of wind forest. So again, you have the same example that when we are not in connection with the forests, what are we going to do? Shapeshifter says, do you agree what David Icke says about the royal family? Have I seen it for myself? No. Can I then speak on authority with Can I then speak on authority with that situation? No. Do I believe that the recent image of King Charles and Camilla sat on the throne and Camilla is wearing a snake necklace very weird? Yes, I do. Yeah, so I find that weird. I find it very odd timing. I think that, Lucas has a really interesting take on that, which perhaps he can share at another time. But Jay Parsons says, is the Great Joust of 2026 still on? Look, it might be. It might be. Maybe that's what we need to do. I know I said that in the last live stream. Look, we'll find some ancient written scripture, or what am I talking about? Some ancient written parliamentary procedure that says if the king is unfit, there's a jousting match, and the winner restores the land and all the finances. That's good memory. Good memory, Jay Parsons. Love it. All right, guys. I promised I would keep the flow going, so I'm going to try to get through. The food shortages threatened the stability of the Roman Empire. This led Rome's leaders to build a fleet of 60 wooden ships to conquer the nearby Mediterranean countries, extending the empire in its last days as they reached out across the known world for minerals, food, and wood. So you notice that instead of actually resolving the situation, right? Instead of resolving the situation where they were, these civilizations tried to then conquer and take the lands of their neighbours, because the only thing they could see was progress and movement forward, which ultimately leads it's like playing a game of Snake, right? Eventually the screen gets full and you bite your own tail, and this is what these civilizations were doing, biting your own tail. Victorious, welcome. Victorias, welcome. Thank you for being here. So happy to be here for week 6. Been here since week 1. Bless you. I appreciate your words very deeply, and I equally appreciate your presence here even more. I appreciate your presence even more. Thank you so much. Very, very kind of you to be with us. Ultimately, Rome's watershed destruction, deforestation, depleted soil, and booming population led to widespread famines, resulting in the collapse of the Roman Empire. Because I don't agree, but there's a weird part of me doesn't want to say it, but there's a message. In the film The Matrix, Agent Smith is speaking to Morpheus when Morpheus is held captive in Matrix 1. And he's trying to get the codes from Zion from Morpheus's brain, from his cerebral network. And he turns to him and he gives him a monologue. And he discusses humanity as a virus, showing that humanity spreads from land to land, consumes all the resources, and then keeps going. Now, that's a awful way to talk about the people, because it isn't the people. It's if we were educated properly, or if we remembered the principle of the Great Global Garden, there's a very good chance we'd have stayed where we were, nurtured and loved and looked after our land, and we'd all be floating off into the ethers, helping other planets to do the same. Like David said, telepathy, telekinesis, whatever. If you're eating the pristine foods and you have a full complexity of nutrition going into your system, who knows what's possible. So I did put it in, but I took it out. But I found that it was interesting. You did have that very unflattering, very non-flattering description, but civilizations, not humanity, civilizations have sort of followed this pattern. This pattern of going to a location, taking from it and then moving on. And that's what has to be changed. That's got to be changed. So I'm going to go through, make sure I'm at the next slides, then we'll have a chat with each other. The Sumerian Empire. So we did go through this, so we'll quickly go through again. The fall of Sumeria, 2900 to 1750 BC. Environmental and climate catastrophe, soil salination, yikes, there we go again. Mesopotamia's flat terrain meant water drained poorly. Evaporating irrigation water left behind salt deposits in the soil. The water would not evaporate anywhere near as much in a full forest ecosystem. That's something worth noting, of course. Over generations, the land became increasingly toxic to crops. That's very interesting, Karina. Maybe there's a connection there with that toxic clay you mentioned and the toxicity of the land to crops. Wheat cultivation virtually disappeared from southern Mesopotamia in 1700 BC, replaced briefly by more salt-tolerant barley, which then also failed. Again, if you're not using the forest ecosystem, you've got failure. Agricultural records from the era show grain yields falling by 65 to 70% over roughly 1,000 years. The introduction of monarchy was another big element to the downfall of Sumeria. Kings derived legitimacy from the gods, specifically from Enlil and Nippur. Lucas, Nippur, considered the chief deity. Any king wanting true authority had to be recognised by Nippur's priests. This gave the priesthood enormous political leverage over secular rulers, creating constant tension between temple and palace. The concept of kingship itself was relatively new in Sumeria. Early city governance had been more communal and assembly-based, and the transition to monarchy was never fully complete or accepted. Now, I would like to go through with you the history of the past 1,000 years of the United Kingdom, because it is directly correlated with the Enclosure Acts, which was enforced by Parliament. There was some elements of monarchy and the aristocratic elite society, which started to fence off the lands. They took it away from the common folk. Everybody seems to go on about my little quotation marks, but I don't like the word common, although whatever. The common folk, and Lucas did tell me that peasant is actually French for people of the land, so common folk or the peasants. And so therefore you had people being forced into, over time, cities to work, which was not good. The Akkadian Empire. The fall of the Akkadian Empire. Environmental and climate catastrophe, drought. The 4.2 kiloyear event around 2200 BC. A severe and prolonged drought struck the entire Middle East and beyond. Catastrophic crop failures. Mass migration of starving populations southward. Their primary crops included barley, the principal cereal crop, which was highly resilient to the arid and salty soils of the region and primarily used for workers' rations, beer and animal fodder. Wheat, including bread, wheat and emmer, were also widely cultivated. Vegetables and legumes, they grew a variety of protein-rich crops, including chickpeas. Fruits and nuts, date palms were a staple in the south, while crops like figs and pomegranates were also common. Oil and fibre, the cultivated crops like sesame for oil, and flax, linseed for textiles. Now it's interesting because you might say, well, hang on a minute here, James. They're talking about fruit trees, vegetables, legumes, right? Are they not holding a much larger variety of species? And they're planting trees, so why didn't it work? Well, again, the whole point is you have to understand the mechanisms of the forest principles, right? So, as Lucas says, the most productive part of the forest is the forest edge, but you've also got the shaded part of the forest. So there are a lot of things like currants, red currants, black currants, which will grow in more shade-tolerant areas. Tim and Maddie Harland in the United Kingdom, who have a forest garden, have a video out there. I'll perhaps try to find it next week and show you, where they present that they've got red currants and black currants that grow in pretty much 100% shade, and they get a yield. So what I'm trying to say here is that you have to be growing all the layers. You have to have a full and complete forest system for you to have that full stability. If it's only rows and rows and rows of apple trees like we have here in the UK, you can go past fields and it's just purely really closely planted lines and rows of apple trees, and that's it. There's nothing else. So when you have only one species, you get disease, you get malnourishment, because a lot of species will pull up certain nutrients, so nitrogen fixers. You've got dynamic accumulators, which will bring nutrients up in from their roots, so their roots will go very deep. My forest garden book isn't close to me, but their roots will go very deep, and they will pull the minerals that are being lost further down in the soils. They will pull them up to the surface to be used by the plants around them. When you're just doing monoculture, it does not work. It needs inputs. So, okay, right, guys. I'll get through we'll stop there because I want to go through some comments. I want to engage with you guys. I'm going to have a couple of blackberries. That's all right. Got to represent the fruit bushes. Aha. Thank you for your patience for a little nibble. Before I read the comments, guys, if you haven't already, if you're willing to hit the like button, I'd be eternally grateful. As everyone's been saying, smash the like button. Don't have to be that violent. You can if you want. But if you'd hit the like button, I would be eternally grateful. It helps to get these videos out to other individuals. And it helps just to know that you guys are enjoying what we're talking about. Right, so Bradeen says monoculture is what created the Great Dust Bowl in the United States. There you go. So maybe at some point we'll get to the United States, because talking about this stuff with you guys is powerful because we're gathering a body of knowledge. And the more we gather this body of knowledge, the more we are equipped to be able to go out into the world and explain to people what we're talking about. You know, it will take a level of, it will take a level of encouraging people to understand what we're saying. Shapeshifter says, I didn't know I was this ignorant about trees until today. Shapeshifter, do not even remotely feel bad. You know, I barely knew anything until 6 or 7 years ago. You know, we are not taught this. You know, we aren't taught that our trees communicate through a mycelial network which passes sugar and nutrients between them in a beneficial symbiotic relationship. You know, when I was a kid going around with a stick and, you know, having a sword fight with a stick with my friends, I didn't know about this stuff. You know, we just don't know. We haven't been taught it in our schools. So there's not a problem at all. You know, this is about re-educating and remembering these wonderful truths. Deborah says, that's cool, Asna. I felt an affinity with the moon, no matter its phases. Beautiful. So have I. Very, very, very much. Asna says, like in the desert, things survive here that are pretty amazing. Nutrients are pulled from deep in the earth. Absolutely. There you go. Karina says, Tangata Wenua. Tangata. It's got, I believe you pronounce it with a short A. Is that right? Tangata Wenua. Here in Aotearoa. I'm so sorry, Karina. Forgive me. You'll have to correct me on my pronunciation. We call ourselves people of the land. I adore that, and I'm fully there with you. Absolutely. Deborah, I could read the moon cycles by watching him. Beautiful. That's the test, right? Deborah says, hope it wasn't too difficult for him. I've missed that comment. Sorry, guys. Are you talking about David? Asna says, oh my god, Prince. Fern Gully is definitely disclosure. Oh, what have I missed here? Breathe Light says, feeling the heavy Scorpio full moon. Interesting. You'll have to let me know a little bit more about that. Prince Royal says, James, if you haven't seen the movie Fern Gully, I highly recommend it. Okay, I will write that down right now, if that's all right with everyone. Make sure that I make a note of that. Would love to watch that. Would you guys share what that's about? Fern Gully. If you guys have any recommendations, this is what I mean. This could be a part of our little community setting where we recommend movies and, you know, videos and stuff to each other. I think that would be beautiful. The place that people are really kind of gathering mostly at the minute is on Facebook there, which we changed the name to the Great Global Garden. I didn't even tell you. Did you hear that? That was weird. It's only I'm only joking. It's only the bottle clicking. Carnegie, beautiful name. Kia ora from the bottom of New Zealand. I know David is loving this. Well done, James. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. And Carnegie, I don't know if you've noticed, but my dear, wonderful friend Karina is here. I don't know, Karina, bless you. I don't know quite where in New Zealand you are. Interesting. So, you know, it's lovely to have you both here. What was I saying? The news. Sorry, guys. Let's just pause just here for a moment. So I was pondering. My mind has been working very quickly over the past 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks. I was working 3 weeks to try to get everything clear and concise. And 9 weeks. It's been about 9 weeks. Yeah, this is our sixth one here. 9 weeks. So 3 weeks leading up to the, you know, I woke up in the morning and there was the most ridiculous news. Bless David. And then 6 weeks we've been together doing this, guys. So I've been thinking a lot quickly. And I was just thinking about this book, you know, the idea of writing a book. My dear mother has mentioned it. Lucas has mentioned it. And I couldn't write a single page of a book until I knew that that book had something to share, you know, because there's a lot of books out there and this had to have something to really be Oh, Corin. My name is Corin from Dunedin, New Zealand. Beautiful. Hello, Corin. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. I'll try to remember. If you're here next Sunday and you tune in, I'll remember Corin. And if I don't, then you'll have to let me know. But I was thinking about this book, and it just hit me. Boom, title, The Great Global Garden. The reason our dear friend Michael has a philosophy called holism with a W and an H. Holism and holism. Holism, the same. Holism being the restoration of the planet, holism being the restoration of the self and all the internal stuff, our spirit, who we are. And then I was thinking, this idea of this pursuit we're talking about, and it just hit me, the Great Global Garden. So I went online, so Free Queen, if you're here, you are indeed. I went online and I thought, let me have a look and see if the domain is available. So I clicked on it and it said, domain taken. I was like, oh, no. I'm like, if it's going to be a book, it would be amazing to have the domain as the name of the book. And I went to my site called Name Checker. It's what I use to check all the social medias for when we come up with ideas, like 10 to the Earth, the Light of Albion, the Light in Britain, the Light of Britain. We use that to get all those names. To make sure that they were available. We came up with the names from, obviously, the Light in Britain, and then from there onwards. When I went to Name Checker, I thought, right, well, I'll see who's got the domain. So I clicked on it, and it took me to a domain site and said available. So I'm like, is it available or is it not available? It said it was taken. Go back to GoDaddy, click on it, and it says add to cart. What? Why was it not available? Why is it now available? And this was .com, so I was very specific. It was definitely the greatglobalgarden.com. So I got it. £23 for the three of them. I managed to get the domain. Crazily, when I went on Name Checker, every single social media name was taken. I was like, how? Who's got it? Who's got these names? Went onto Facebook, went to type in The Great Global Garden, it's available. Went onto Instagram, typing in The Great Global Garden, it's available. TikTok, Gmail, YouTube, all of them were available. I couldn't believe it. It was absolutely ridiculous. So it was like this little subtle nod to me, Lucas, Annie, that here we go. Here's the name. This name touches every square inch of the soil. It takes care of... love you lots, Karina. Have a lovely time. Take care. See you soon. It touches every square inch of the planet. It touches every soul, every person, every animal, every insect, everything. The name and its primary purpose touches everybody. And it brings whirling rainbow. It unifies all people, all nations and all creeds under the philosophy of the restoration of the Great Global Garden. Wow. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I just really, that was my news. Sorry, Free Queen, I've left you hanging with that for 2 hours nearly. Literally for 2 hours. I apologise. So, yeah, it was just amazing. I couldn't believe it. Really amazing to see. So, all right. Comments. Leilu said the timeline changed. Feel that. I really do. I feel that absolutely. Shapeshifter said, I hadn't watched David for a while and found Corey's video right the next day he passed. Felt like I shifted from a different timeline. Absolutely. Odd. I know you're replying to what I said. Yeah, really odd. Prince Royal, as much as I want for you to watch Fern Gully, it's one of those movies I'd rather not give spoilers. That being said, you won't be disappointed. Beautiful. Then I will absolutely watch it. I'll see if Lucas has seen it. Lucas might have seen it. So, yeah, thank you for the suggestion. And I know if you... Bradeen says, Fern Gully, excellent animated movie about appreciating the earth and nature itself. Wonderful. I love that. Can't wait to watch it. Mira, in astrology, if you have a weak moon in your natal chart, you will feel very anxious on the full moon day. Interesting. I don't know. Crazy. That, I must have a strong moon because I feel pretty good today, so pretty good. I went outside and I put my hands in the river today because I'm on my phones a lot. Ugh. Who wants to be on their phone that much? But I love all people who are hearing what we're saying. So I feel it's important to get back to people because when they're left hanging, that's not pleasant. Although a lot of you are being very patient with me, so I appreciate that. But I put my hands in the river and I just felt, very grounding. I was barefoot, hands in the river, really beautiful. Free Queen says, I'm excited for you, James. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Mum says it was crazy. It was indeed. And then you had the dream about the rainbow portal, whirling rainbow portal. How crazy. Asana says, I love the magical story of your online footprint with the Great Global Garden. It's been crazy, hasn't it? You know, just from leading up to this point. So that's where we're at. You know, we've got the group's been, my point from sharing that is the group has been changed from restoring planet Earth to the Great Global Garden. So I put a post in there. People seem to be happy with that. They're okay. That's happy with me. I would have normally asked for people's feedback, but if I shared it, I don't know who all the people who are in there. I don't like talking about that. Everyone in there is beautiful. But like you saw the gentleman who came earlier, you know, there's people of different walks of life. So I changed it straight away. So we've got the Great Global Garden, which I'm excited about. R4 Glitches, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Amazing. It's great to have you here. It's, it's always lovely to see a new name pop back up. So Rick Fleming, here checking in from Chicago. My first time here, and I'm glad I found you in this great community. That's very kind of you, and we're absolutely over the moon to have you here. This week, we've been talking about the rise and fall of civilizations. We are about to do our third global peace meditation. The theme is obviously appreciating everything that David Wilcock was doing, and we're expanding on this conversation as we go. So, appreciate you for being here. Hope you stick around. No pressure. But yeah, lovely. Thank you so much. Welcome to the community. All right then, guys. Well, I tell you what. Let's do our third meditation now. So we'll do our third one now, and then we can carry on with the slides. We'll get into the 1,000 years that I want to talk about. I'm going to have a little bite here before we start. I probably don't need this apple, it's just delicious. Can't help myself. Sorry, guys. Okay. Again, different speeds, different paces during our live. So we're going to bring this one all the way back down to a calm, relaxing energy. Bring ourselves into the present moment. I'm going to get the prayer that we normally share up on the screen. Deborah, before, if you're willing, you're more than willing, smash that like button. You can do it afterwards, that's also fine. Very kind, grateful to you. So we're bringing the energy down again, bringing ourselves present. I'm just going to bring this up. Okay, so this is the I am with you prayer. Very grateful to you all being willing to hear me share it. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just relax. Allow your muscles to relax. Bring yourself into this present moment. Remembering the meditation effect and the fact that we're all coming here and doing this, and it has a very real effect on our planet. Know that you are loved. And we will now go through our little prayer together. Great Spirit, all that is, God, universe, we are with you, we are present, and we are here. We give thanks to the people of plant and stone, to the people who stand where their roots have now grown. We give thanks to those who crawl and who creep, to those with fins who swim in the deep. We give thanks to great eagle and those with wings, whose wisdom and truth Father Sky brings. We give thanks to the chiefs of fire and air, of water and Mother Earth, whose wisdom we bear. Grandfather Sun and Grandmother Moon, you are the light and we are the tune. Medicine walks reveal what you give, the language of love as the reason we live. Whirling rainbow brings a promise of peace, uniting all nations, all peoples and creeds. From our hearts to our roots, to our crowns above, may we learn all our lessons and be open to love. We give thanks to the directions on the sacred wheel, whose guidance speaks on the winds that heal. We stand for all that is right and true, so that your loving light may shine on through. The presence of Christ, or the light, resides in our hearts. May we forgive all those who miss their mark, as well as ourselves when we stumble and fall, and fail to uphold the highest of all. We walk this path in service to others, for nature, children, our sisters and brothers. Our minds are quiet, and our hearts are revealed. The earth is restored, and your children are healed. Danaho Wio, Great Spirit, it is said, and it is good. Namaste and Amen. As usual, I'll give you a little moment here for yourself, for your own thoughts. Remain present and take your time. Okay guys, so when you're ready, please feel free to come back, share anything you're grateful for if you wish. Please feel free to share anything that came to you. I want to once again, Suzanne, no worries Suzanne, have a lovely week. Thank you for spending this time with us. We're immensely grateful for your presence. Very, very kind of you. You take care and we'll see you next time. Alright guys, so bring yourself back. Anything that you are, anything you're grateful for, anything you'd like to share, please feel free. Great popcorn says very nice, thank you, very kind of you. Bradine, I love that you share this and it always strikes my heart. Wonderful, that's very kind of you. I mean, when I wrote it Thursday, March the 26th, it got tweaked very slightly. I added in a paragraph, but yeah, interesting. I love it. Asna says, I had a cockatoo, miss him. Oh, bless you, I'm sorry to hear that, that's a shame. Lucas had a couple of budgies that came to him, and I still have... oh, I really want to show you guys this. It's over there. That's a shame. Next week? Shall I show you next week? I have the budgie feathers. Little tiny blue, bright blue budgie feathers. They're gorgeous. Because they would shed them, so they'd drop them on the floor, and there'd be loads on the floor, and you could get them before there were droppings, and so I've got loads of them. They're really cute. I love them. But I'll tell you one thing I also have here. So I have a jay feather. Look at that, look, isn't that beautiful? Got a jay feather. I have a guinea fowl. Got a guinea fowl feather. that I picked up from the farm that I was on. They had a couple of guinea fowl. Unfortunately, they both ended up passing, which was very sad, but got a guinea fowl there. Oh, and also, I've got a little chaffinch feather from just where we had loads of... We had a really unfortunate thing with loads of our birds. They just all kept dying. We think there was something going on. I don't know what. I don't want to speculate at the minute, but there's a little chaffinch feather just there. Look at that, beautiful yellow, absolutely gorgeous. And anything else? I've got anything else on hand to show you guys? A couple of other little... Is that a little bluey one? That's a little bluey one. You probably won't be able to see it very well, but that's another little gorgeous little bluey one. But no, you can't anyway. So yeah, got a whole little gathering of feathers there. I got some really cool stories about buzzard and red kite feathers coming to me, but maybe another time. Another thing as well, I often pick any little bouquets of flowers from wildflowers and things. Only ones that, if there's an absolutely overwhelming amount of them, I don't take them if there's only one or two. But then she brought me one. Look at that. It's dried now. Isn't that nice? Yeah, it's cool. Alright, guys. Let me just... Oh, it's very hot here today. Free Queen says, oh, I was just sorting my bird's feathers the other day. Going to make some cool earrings. I love that. I love that. Well, you know what I was going to do? I've got a staff. So I have a staff that I made from this other... from when we re-thatched a roundhouse, or a roundhouse that had a thatch roof. We re-thatched it. And in the process, they were getting some hazel branches. And they cut one, and this big branch fell. I looked at it, I'm like, that's a staff. So I took it home with me. I shaved all the bark off of it. I let it dry. I oiled it, looked after it. I've wrapped it with a little bit of paracord. That's not natural, but yikes. I put a little crystal. I wrapped a crystal in it and a feather. So I've got a buzzard feather on there that I found. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Bradine says, it's been a while since I've had a dream with David in it, but they were always significant. Yeah, without a doubt. Gail says, love your poem and love that you treasure the feather gifts. Yeah, absolutely. I'm big. I love it, you know. Great Popcorn says, I have several new little nests. Beautiful. I love that. Frequent says, thank you for that beautiful poem you share with us, James, before I forget. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you, Free Queen. Very nice. Any more comments I missed? Like I say, guys, oh, Yakish, welcome. I dreamed of David last night. He held my hand. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Was there anything else in the dream, or was it just as beautiful as that, or was there anything else? That's interesting. Asna says, I had a cockatoo, miss him. Yeah, sorry to hear that. Yeah. Right, guys. Hope I've got to... Mira, if you watch back, sorry I missed you leaving, but take care. I hope to see you next time. Oh yeah, Mum sent me a picture of an owl feather, which is amazing. She sent me a picture of this owl feather that she found, which is really, really remarkable. Alright guys, so 2 minutes 8 seconds plus 42 is 2 hours and 50. Cool. So number 4 at 2 hours 50. Keep going. Just get my slides right. Where are we? Come up here. Right, so if it's okay with you, again, I didn't want to overdo the exploration of civilizations, but maybe we'll just quickly go through these last 3, because there are 3 more. There are 3 more, so I want to go through these with you, and then I want to go into the history. So, you know, hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Let me know. We can always try to break it up with some different concepts. I did mention crop circles last week. I have got them on here. I don't know if do you guys enjoy that? It sounds like a silly question, but I don't know if some people, you know, I know Lucas might have, you know, felt that some people might have dropped off when they heard that. So, you know, it's up to you. We can share about it. I've been to a couple myself. What do I believe about them? I don't know, but I think it's interesting. At the very least, sacred geometry in our fields. Is it man-made, human-made? Maybe. Is it made by our star brothers and sisters? Maybe. Don't know. But I've saved some in there with an interesting link to the Apple of Life. So if you want to hear about that, we can break it up a little bit. Okay. Deanna says the indigenous owned no land. That's a very yeah, it's a very good point. I would like to crop circles. That does sound like a silly question. Does sound like a silly question, doesn't it? Of course, we love crop circles. Sorry, guys. Somebody had mentioned it before, and I wanted to make sure I had some available because I thought it'd be interesting. But Deanna, very important that you mentioned there that the living in harmony with the land was very important. What does that look like in modern times? I don't know. I don't know, because the problem we have is the WEF agenda brings forward the idea of you'll own nothing and be happy. Amazing, thanks guys. You've just tried to derail what we're talking about. We're talking about people being happy by living in harmony with the land. Well, maybe it means that they own it. I don't know. It would be the most logical thing, because then you're living on that land in perpetuity, but it's still a conversation for sure. All right, guys. So here we have Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan. I definitely didn't need to go to this slide to remember the pronunciation. All right. Okay. Definitely didn't have to do that. So the fall of Teotihuacan, Mesoamerica, was around 501 to 600 CE to 701 to 800 CE. One of the biggest issues was internal rebellion. Archaeological evidence, such as the deliberate burning of elite palaces and the smashing of religious icons, suggest a popular revolt. Interesting. The lower classes, facing famine and starvation, likely rose up against a ruling class that could no longer ensure the city's prosperity or provide basic resources. Now, this is why I shared this one. Isn't this curious? Right now, please do not think that I'm inciting violent revolt. We're doing our global peace meditations to hopefully move beyond that. Who wants that? That's going to lead to misery. It's going to lead to awful things. We don't want that. However, what do we do? What's the how? That's what a lot of people have been upset with me at the minute. They're like, James, that's great, cute ideology. What's the how? Well, first we're talking about the philosophy and the concept, so that people are aware of this idea, and then we start expanding. But I have no problem talking about it in the meantime, and then we go from there. But like I say, the how is up for debate for sure. Climate change and drought. Paleoclimatological data reveals severe prolonged droughts in central Mexico during the 6th century. This devastated Teotihuacan's intensive agricultural system, causing crop failures and severe food shortages. Wow. There we go again. Isn't this a shocker? Once again, we have this premise. Now, it's interesting because you think of Mesoamerica and you think, forests, and you think of these sort of areas and locations there. But again, when you've got massive civilizations and they're trying to feed people at such a massive level, they go to these methods that are not specifically, that are not efficient enough. Economic strain and warfare. As the central authority weakened, which was those revolts, formerly vassal and peripheral states gained autonomy and cut off Teotihuacan's trade routes. The subsequent loss of control over vital resources like obsidian mining crippled the city's economy. Again, when you're relying solely upon economical principles and you're not living in harmony with the Great Global Garden, which the idea of it is if you didn't have a penny to your name, you could survive and thrive in the most outstanding way. You might not have an iPhone. If you want an iPhone, we'll find a way. But you might not have an iPhone, but you're living a life that's really, truly remarkable. So what are we learning from these accounts? What is the next step for humanity's future? What does the Bible origin story why does the Bible origin story talk of a leaving of the Great Global Garden due to sin? And obviously, what is the Great Global Garden? These are my slides from last week, so isn't that funny? We've expanded on these conversations already, and we've gone into it. Isn't that curious? Here we have Cahokia. Look, slides take a long time, and I need to get back on the pronunciation, straight on. So we'll get there. Again, we had here climate and environmental shifts, prolonged droughts, and severe Mississippi River flooding. Isn't it funny? It's always flooding. You have these situations with crop loss and flooding. Flooding is normally because you don't have the root and forest infrastructure to stop the floods. You know, this is where these situations come from. Excuse me. These floods devastated agricultural yields. Without enough food to sustain its tens of thousands of residents, the economic and social stability of the metropolis eroded. And that was all I put for that. Again, isn't it obvious? It's just as simple as that. 1050 to 1200 CE. Prince Royal says, I've been to the Sun and Moon pyramids of Mexico. The Sun one is bigger from what I remember. I did manage to climb to the top of the Moon one when I was a kid. Wish I could go there again. Beautiful. Well, I know for a fact my mother would love to do that, and so would I. No doubt Lucas as well. Yeah, very interesting. The Khmer Empire. Southeast Asia. 2686, 2181 BC. In Europe, this climate shift brought freezing rivers and poor harvests. In Southeast Asia, the effects were equally severe. The regular wet-dry seasonal pattern became erratic. Years of drought were followed by heavy destructive rainfall. This climatic instability made traditional Khmer rice farming less reliable. What does that sound like? It sounds like a single monoculture-based system that didn't have the forest to make sure that the soils and the root systems were draining and taking care of water properly, and again you had droughts and floods. To compensate, farmers cleared more forest for fields. Yikes, again. But this had unintended consequences. When the rains returned, sediment that had once been held in place by forest trees now flowed into the Barays. These great reservoirs, along with the canals and dikes that fed them, began to clog with silt. Some scholars believe that by the end of the empire, so much sediment had accumulated that many barays and canals were no longer functional. With reduced food production and a shrinking workforce, it became harder to repair and maintain the water system, a system on which Angkor depended for survival. So this is the thing we have throughout history. We have there's the source. I'm trying to put the source for all of them in, but I have the sources, but it just takes a while to pop them in. So can you notice any common themes that emerge? A civilization begins to cut down its forests. It finds widespread ecological collapse, famine, and ultimately needs to start colonizing other countries in order to maintain the resource consumption and destruction. This leads to war and ultimately the fall of said civilization. When we start living by the principles of the forest once again, we will truly be free from work and toil. Remember when we were discussing the Garden of Eden? That man-woman was banished from the Garden of Eden, said to work and sweat and toil for their sustenance for the rest of their perceived period of time. We will very much return to the paradise ideal of the Garden of Eden, the support mechanism which was always there, designed to look after our very need without us having to think about a thing. Does this not sound like the true evolution of humanity? When we stop trying to control our natural systems, I say we, obviously we aren't the ones instigating this, so I'm not going to insult you with that. When we stop trying to control our natural systems and learn to use the magnificent system which is provided to us, the evolution and ascension of humanity will be swifter and more rapid than anything we have ever seen up to this moment. I believe that with all my heart. And so there we are. We're on to our next little bit, which is going to explore Britain. How are you guys doing? Are you enjoying this? Is the flow okay? Are you happy with going through the information a little bit more than the comments? Let me know. Is it engaging? Are you tantalized by these ideas? Are we finding these very interesting synchronicities with these civilizations interesting? I know I do. Andromeda, no worries for being late. You're right on time as always. I'm late today, my friends. I'm sorry. I will have to rewatch. I hope you're all feeling well. No worries at all. Thank you for coming in and tuning in. Appreciate you very, very much, and hope you can stick around. Let me know. Lifeline. Appreciate that very much. Thank you for that affirmation. Very, very enjoyable for that. Mama Malins says, that's exciting, Prince Royal. We went to Egypt when James was younger and just fascinating. Yes, we did. I went down one of the pyramids of Egypt. I wish I had been more aware at the time of what a magical place that is, but we'll have to go back another time. Ah, great popcorn. Thank you. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. Ah, Prince Royal says, once Mexico is cartel free, I'm planning on climbing the Sun One too. Interesting. Has there been a further development with the cartel in Mexico? I haven't come across that. That might sound silly. I know the cartel is very much connected to Mexico, but is there a sort of a new imminent danger with that? You'd have to let me know. Oh my goodness. Oh, Deanna. Oh, that's really wonderful. You nearly made... If I wasn't firmly in my chair, you might have made me fall off. That's really, really, really sweet of you, Deanna. Thank you so much. Thank you for sending a $50 donation. That's really, truly kind of you. I can't tell you how much that helps me at the minute. You know, I don't work. I'm not getting a job. It got really close, and it's still really close. And I thought to myself, you know, but Lucas was very loving and kind. He said, take all the time. He's been supporting me. So is Annie. So you supporting me in that way is eternally appreciated by me. I really appreciate it. That's a wonderful, generous donation. Thank you so much, Deanna. Bless you. I'm going to give that a little love myself. Thank you so much. And obviously, I just want to say for you guys, you know, of course, I'm very grateful to Deanna, but your presence with me is still something I appreciate on an immense level. You know, I really, really do. Thank you, Deanna. Bless you so much. All right, guys. Deborah says, very interesting history, James. You're a geological historian. Well, I don't know about that. I probably would be heavily outschooled by some individuals, but you know, I appreciate the compliment for sure. And Andromeda, thank you so much for the $7 donation. That's very kind of you. Andromeda says, thank you, James, for this wonderful work you do. Amazing topics and profound meditations. Much love. Thank you, Andromeda. It's really kind. Guys. Lydia with a $20 donation. Thank you so much. Thank you, James, for all your hard work and holding a space for those that love David, helping to ease the transition from Sundays with David. Thank you also for sharing your own passions. It's very kind of you, Lydia. Thank you, guys. You're very, very generous. You know, this really heartwarming. You're keeping me going at this point in time. I hope one day that it'll be a case where anything that's shared we can help somebody else. But you know, right now, the support you're offering me is outstanding. It really is. You know, my mother has supported me for a long time, and you know, there comes a point where it becomes tricky. My mother supports me impeccably, so does my father. But you know, you guys helping me with this is really, really heartwarming. Thank you, very kind. Deborah says, very kind you support James. The Nana, yeah. Deanna, yeah. Mum says, Deanna, how kind of you supporting James with your donation. Thank you. That's really kind of you, all of you. I appreciate you all. You know, you're gonna get the soppy part of me. Bless you. Linda says you're doing so well. I appreciate you too. Thank you, Linda. That's very kind. Yeah, you're beautiful people. Thank you for coming together. What a wonderful thing. Shapeshift says, if I donate, you'll only get a few pennies and I'll have to sell the house. Not that I'm broke, but the exchange is that's okay. Honestly, listen, it's very important you're all aware that a comment is a donation to me. You know, being present with it is a donation to me. People seeking to share financial donation is really heartwarming. But if you can't, I get it. You know, there's no pressure at all. I appreciate you all on a loving, equal level, you know. Really kind of you guys. All right. Okay, so we're at 2 hours and 32 minutes. Yeah, sorry, Shapeshifter. I might have slightly diluted the joke you were making there. I was still in my soppy gratitude phase. So anyway, humbled. I am humbled by you guys. Prince Royal says there was a big showdown between the Federals and cartel a few weeks ago because one of the cartel leaders got taken out. Some say the Mexican president got him because she was backed by rival cartel. Wow. what a drama. That's crazy. I'll have to have a look at the history of that. Sorry, the news on that. That's really interesting. Deborah says, it's not the dry rhetoric of geological professors I had in college. Well, I'll take that one. You know, we're weaving in some meditations, some little jokes here and there, and some other things. And oh my goodness, Corin, with the $17 donation, bless you so much. That's really kind of you. You know, it's so heartwarming because I know David needed that support as well, and I get it, and I didn't want to, sort of put that forward because I appreciate if we didn't live in a financial system and I had a forest garden, there isn't a single part of me that would want that exchange. But right now, while it's not, and I'm where I'm at, I'll be honest, I'm actually at the maximum of my bank account. So I was going to have to message my dear mother again, but you guys are helping me to not have to do that anywhere near as often. So I'm really heartwarmed. Thank you so much, Corin. She says, keep going, James, with the love heart. Corin from New Zealand, love you dearly. Thank you for sending that. It's very kind of you. You're all very, very generous. Beautiful. Amazing. Really supportive. Linda says, I'm working hard on my garden and I'm roping in the neighbours, getting them, showing them plants. Beautiful. Getting them doing their own plants. That's amazing. I love that, Linda, so much. So, yeah, great. Asana says, you're right, my friend, has a college in Mexico, and that's what he says. Now their government is the cartel. They run the government, and if their cartel war's not usually... Woof, yikes. That's really something. Wow. Giving them plans. Oh, giving! Oh, sorry, Linda. Oh, amazing. Giving them plans. That's even better. Better than educating them is giving them. I love that. No, it's really cool. Bradine says, you're also lovely. I'm so happy you're found this community. Thank you, Bradine, and so are you. And thank you for your lovely words and your beautiful profile picture with that gorgeous... Is that like a little chaffinch? A little blue chaffinch? I love that. That's amazing. Oh, Victorious just bought the book, The Last Hours of Ancient Sunlight. Love that. Great. So if anybody's joined in, a lot of the content we just talked about is from this gentleman. Lucas suggested the topic, so all we've been talking about is from his suggestion. Thanks, brother. And here's the book. Last Hours of Ancient Sunlight. This was £3, very inexpensive. It's important. Things like these bodies of work, things like this, they're very necessary to get in order to keep exploring these topics and ideas and everything that's going through. So yeah, Last Hours of Ancient Sunlight. So Victorious, you getting that? Amazing. If anybody else wants to, should be super inexpensive online. I'm finding it interesting. My friend Michael didn't seem to approve too much because it's particularly promoting the oil. I don't know. I need to go through it. Julianne. Why do I... Gail, who's Julianne? Why do I feel like we had a Julianne, or there is a Julianne, or I know a Julianne? That's very interesting. Missed that. Breathe Light says, James, if I could help you financially, I would. I meant a financial crisis, but who knows? No, honestly, Breathe Light, there's no expectation, I promise you. And I know you would. I know that people would have for David. I know people did for David. And the fact that people are supporting me with these little donations, because I'm not putting ads on these lives, that's one thing that I'm not doing. These I want these to be uninterrupted and together. So I'm not putting ads on them. I'm not going to be making any money from being live on with you guys. So you supporting me with a donation is really lovely. Andromeda says, guys, thanks for all your donations. You're all very kind and generous. James, no worries. A lot of us are broke. Yeah, with you. The support's amazing. You're helping me put shopping in the cupboard, but I'm with you. It's been difficult. I'm a single mom on a stress leave, only making a couple of dollars on the side. It's hard. I send my love to you, Andromeda. And look, if we reclaim the treasury of Camelot, everybody in this live can be supported. we'll return the financial love back. So. Oh, my profile picture is an indigo bunting. I love it. I think of it as being the bluebird of happiness. Woo, love that. Amazing. Right, guys. Well, we're about 13 minutes from our next meditation, so let's keep going with some of the content, shall we? Hopefully that's a nice little break up and we're okay to go in. R4, who's our friend Rick? R4, could you just confirm for me, my friend? I do apologise. Eventually, I do get everybody's name perfectly. But Rick, did you say Rick? Was it Rick Hunter? Sorry, my friend. You'll have to just educate me on that one, my friend. R4 says, I fully support you bringing a lot of these things public and operating within this new frequency and harmony that will lead us to the unification of humanity. Beautiful, wonderful words. I really, really appreciate that very much. Very, very kind of you. And, you know, we're all having this conversation. The more we have this conversation, the more we proceed forwards is, you know, it's amazing. Tom Cornett. Wow, welcome. Thank you for tuning in, Tom. Is this the first time we've seen you here? If so, it's very, very kind of you to tune in. Thank you for being present. Love that. Andromeda says, your parents are wonderful, James. God bless them. My parents are the same, always supporting me. They can't do it right now, but we would always talk on the phone. Those kinds of parents are a treasure. Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. So, and Gail says, Julianne Vizag. Did I miss a comment? Sorry, Julianne, if you're here. Rick Fleming. Richard Edward Fleming. Bless you, my friend. Got the full whammy there. Creator and architect of the Fleming Mesh. Amazing. Wow. Care to share more? I'd love to know more about that. Thank you so much for letting us know that. Rick Fleming. I'll try to embed that. If I forget again, thank you for your patience, though. Brilliant. So, Gail, yeah. Julianne, if I missed your comment, let me know, and I'll try to get back to you. So, yeah, one door closes, another opens. Yeah, feel that, you know, and it's been amazing to hold this space through everything that was, you know, from that very first live of honouring David until our 6th live now. You know, we've been live 6 Sundays in a row. It's unfortunate we're not listening to David, but regardless, we're able to come together, continue his legacy, global peace meditations. So, David, here or there, we love you, brother, and we're with you, you know, and so we're keeping it going. We're still coming together. So, open and missing David, but so nice to meet you, James, and likewise, Tom. It's lovely to meet you as well, my friend, and to meet you too, Rick. So thank you both for being here. Right, guys, we'll get through a bit more stuff. So I wanted to dive into the events of 1066 to 1914, widespread land grabs in the United Kingdom. This will be very relevant for the rest of the world. United Kingdom, no doubt, United States, probably Southern America, you know, Australia. I'm sure that, especially with the sort of the monarchy that we have here in the United Kingdom, the British Empire expands very far. You know, although is it British or is it the global elitist monarchy, etc., etc. But anyway, so bless you, Tom. Very kind of you, my friends. Very, very kind words. Likewise, we're grateful to have you here. Summary timeline. So I wanted to, we won't go through this exactly now. We'll go through things bit by bit. But this is the timeline here in the United Kingdom from 1066 to 1914. Sporadically, we have different things like the Norman Conquest, the Domesday Book, the dissolution of monasteries, and the land sold to the land gentry. Now, if you don't know what the word gentry is, I actually didn't. I had come across it, but I didn't know what it meant. It's basically the elite classes owning a lot of the land and taking it off the people. Rick says, the project is just coming public, but if you like, I could send you some of the white papers laying out how it works towards changing the world. Well, absolutely. 100%, Rick. I would love to do that. And, you know, maybe if you're willing and potentially we could, you know, chat about it here and people could know about it. It's up to you, my friend. But yeah, I would love to hear. I'm trying to get back to everybody. So with your patience, my friend, yeah, would love to know about it. So I'll get through a few of the slides, guys, and then I'll go back to the comments. I want to make sure we all properly engage. So we'll keep going for a little bit, but know that I'll get back to you. So we'll start with the Norman Conquest and the feudal land grab of 1066 to 1087. So this is taken from a few different websites. I'll have the sources afterwards. This was arguably the single most dramatic land grab in English history. In 1067, William the Conqueror took the extraordinary step of declaring that, as England's monarch, he owned every acre of land in the country. What a top guy. Good job, William. Well done, bro. My friend. He confiscated the property of the reluctant English landowners, and over the next dozen years granted land to his lords and the dispossessed Englishmen, or affirmed their existing land holdings in exchange for fealty and promises of military and other services. Interesting. So again, we see that the people are removed from their land, and we're going to find out what happens when that happens. If it's alright, guys, I'm just going to... I'll wait to munch my date. The church held about 26% of the terrain included in the survey, but almost everything else within the Normans' hands. William headed the rich list, with estates covering 17% of England. Roughly 150 to 200 barons held the other 54% between them. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you guys... Stephen, welcome, my friend. Stone's clones have arrived. Stephen, welcome. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. Appreciate you for being here. The reason why I feel like it's important that we discuss this is because we are still living the history from 1,000 years ago, give or take. You know, especially here in the United Kingdom, I can imagine that it's the same situation around the rest of the world, although that's something I'm not as intelligent on yet, so I'll have to look into that. And if you guys have any information, please do share with me. But we're still living this, you know, so we have to understand what happened in our history so that we can explore what we do in our future. The Domesday Book reveals that 90% of the population lived in the countryside and 75% of the people were serfs, unfree labourers. Many Anglo-Saxons resettled in Scotland, Ireland, Scandinavia, and even as far away as the Black Sea coast. So there's some of the sources. Do I have another one? Yes, I do. So I always respected David leaving sources. It's a bit tricky when you have to type and but if you put in military history, you should be able to find it. Maybe I can find another way to share sources in a more convenient way, because typing that out's quite a task, but at least you know that's where a lot of this information come from. So we just find that here's a primary example of land, the people being removed from the land. You know, so here's one of the big ones. Next, we've got the medieval open field system and early enclosures. So this is again exploring, we've looked at the ancient civilizations and how even in the medieval period, we are still using the agricultural farming methods that failed us over thousands of years. Not the people's fault, because we've just been removed from our knowledge of the forest. Before enclosure, England utilised an open field system for much of its history. Agricultural and cultivation systems were not very advanced, but it allowed each village to be self-sufficient for the time being. The farming system would have the same nutrient deficient issues that ancient agricultural methods would have. Common land was held collectively. People had traditional rights to graze livestock, collect firewood, and cut turf. Early informal enclosures began to appear from around the 12th century, where individual landowners began fencing off portion of common fields, but this was not yet widespread or formalised. So the reason why they did this, so what they did, you notice here, this is quite a... if you had this little field in the background, I hope you can see that clearly on your end, this would then be fenced off. So then the common folk, peasants, the people who are working the land, wouldn't have as much access, or if any access at all, because you'll notice later on down the line they would be using it for pasture land for sheep, because wool became extremely valuable. So again, they were following the money, and when you follow the money, what you often have is a neglect for ecological systems and process. And when you start to neglect your ecology, what do we get? The fall of the civilization, the famine, you have poverty, you have the suffering of the people. And now when you add into this, and this is happening in modern times, the greed of the people owning most of the land, so apparently it's about 0.06% or 1%. I think the 0.06 is probably more accurate, but the 1% is a bit more lenient. But the 0.06% of the people in England own all the land. So there is 41.6 million acres of usable agricultural land in the UK that can support 83 million people. which is the total more than the population of the United Kingdom. I really want to go. This is such a we're getting into the bigger stuff here, and I don't want to rush this. And I'd like to have graphic examples so that I can show you what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll understand. I'll hold off on that until next time. We'll see. Appreciate that very much, Tommy, and I definitely agree with you. I've read that comment there. I'll get back to the other ones because I want to, I want to sort of get through information and then spend time with you guys. Next, we have the Tudor enclosures and the wool economies. This is what I was talking about with the price of wool. The 16th century saw enclosure accelerate dramatically. So enclosure is fencing off land and making it so that rich landowners, barons, wealthy individuals started to take more and more land off of the people. No worries, Suzanne. Thank you for being here. Love you lots. It's absolutely fine. And this was driven by the wool trade. During the early part of the 16th century, large numbers of farmers changed from growing crops to raising sheep. Now, here in Wales specifically, Michael is a lot better with the numbers, probably so is Lucas, but you have a staggering amount of sheep here in the UK, and they decimate our ecologies. Nothing can grow, because love the sheep, love you, sorry, don't want to be disrespectful to the sheep, but when you have sheep, they decimate the ecological systems. No herbs can grow, trees can't become successors of their parent trees, and it just becomes a blank canvas wasteland. Which is why we have so many ticks, because the ground nesting birds that you'd normally have don't have anywhere to go. This involved enclosing arable land and turning it into pasture for sheep. Wealthy landowners saw enormous profits in wool, and common land was increasingly seized. The dissolution of the monasteries, 1536 to 1541, under Henry VIII, compounded the crisis, made it worse. Monastic lands, which had provided social welfare and common use rights, were sold off to wealthy gentry landowners, accelerating enclosure and dispossessing thousands of rural poor individuals, of rural individuals who were of the more common folk or peasant class, peasant meaning people of the land. So again, what you have is greed and money. I wonder if Clarkson the Jezza would agree with that, James. No, he wouldn't. There is nothing that I'm sharing. I mean, you can't argue with history, but there's very little with what I'm sharing right now that gentleman would agree with. But this is the thing. Agricultural farming. Love to our farmers. Love to our farmers. Our farmers, I'm alive now because of the food that's in the supermarkets. Can't knock the farmers. You cannot criticise and be disrespectful to the farmers because they don't know what they don't know. Most farmers have inherited their farms through the generations. Most farmers are facing the money from subsidiaries. They get supported to do what they're doing. Most farmers who would even remotely think of doing anything else are persecuted in the farming industry. I've heard of it and I've seen it myself. There's documentaries on this. So you can't blame the farmers, but if you continue mechanically focused, chemically driven, petrochemical farming using oil to farm the land and agriculture, we haven't got a future. So, Jeremy, love you lots, buddy. Good old Clarkson. Sorry, mate, you can argue all you like. There'll come a point when the ecological damage is so severe that what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So this is why I feel that it is a change from farming to gardening. That way you get tens of thousands of families back on the land. So if somebody, we knew somebody who had 16,000 acres of land and also like 3,500 acres of land, and they were actually trying to restore the land. But as we've seen with the history of farming, agricultural farming, throughout civilizations, throughout loads and loads and loads of civilizations, it leads to the downfall of that civilization. So we've got to return to the great global garden, like I say, guys, the more I share about this online and the more it reaches, it's going to start reaching. I've got a couple of farmers who are talking to me at the minute. One of them's being respectful, and I'm being respectful back to them. We're having a conversation. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna. It's gonna be an onslaught, and I'm here for it. I'm gonna approach everyone with as much love and compassion. Have I been a farmer for 50 years? No. Have I been born in farming? No. Can I sympathise with farmers? Yes. Can I understand that they're only doing what they know? Do we have to look at a different path? Yeah. As far as I'm concerned... Sorry, am I being too passionate here? Don't know. As far as I'm concerned, guys, we have to look at getting back to the global forest garden. Okay? And people are going to hate me for saying that. Jeremy Clarkson is not going to enjoy it, but he's got to hear it. We got to talk about it. So, anyway, there was a gentleman who, and I am aware we've got to do our next meditation. I would like to, if you guys are still okay with that. There was a gentleman who owns 3,000 acres of land. There's currently a documentary in the UK. I don't know what it's called. Lucas sent it to me, I think. And this guy who had 3,000 acres of land, he didn't care at all. He's like, 3,000 acres of this land is mine. It's fenced off. There's no public access. No public access, and I ain't letting anybody on there. 3,000 acres of land. That's mind-blowing. Yeah? Like, I can only go based upon myself. If I had 3,000 acres of land and I was aware of this, I'd start bringing people on. Let's make the 3,000 acres of the Garden of Eden. Are you kidding me? Yeah? How many people wouldn't want to have, 600 varieties of apples on 3,000 acres? You could do it. So, anyway, right. Oh, I don't know, guys. It's going to be a tricky one, this. We're going to go up against generational philosophies. People they're not going to be happy, but we got to talk about it, I have had a lot of support. A few people have said things to me I can't repeat in a good and decent way. Just, but we got to come from love. We got to come from love. I've been very grateful to you guys every Sunday, because you've been a root foundation of love and kindness and compassion. So you're keeping me grounded, knowing that we can spend this time and keep it loving. So anyway, shush, James. Let me have an apple. So on the on the little joke there, Prince, it was you who said it, was it? You're right. It's, a lot of people are gonna. But having said that, the way I've disarmed most people who, sorry. I'm really enjoying this live this week, and I'd love to continue. I'm actually, if you guys are okay, we won't do a part 3, but we'll kind of change the title, and I'd love to go back into starting from the Tudor times next week, because I'm really enjoying this conversation. This is really good, really important too. But the way I've been disarming most people who have been really aggressive towards the idea, saying you're a fool, pipe dream, utopia, blah blah blah, and that's fine. Everybody's more than within their right to share that, because that's what it sounds like to people. Like you say, somebody just mentioned the programming asana. Those that watch traditional TV are brainwashed, sadly. It's yeah, of course. Yeah, it is. Sorry. Bless you, Deborah. I appreciate that very much. And I am. I'm a very passionate person about this. So is Lucas. So is Annie. So is Michael. And no doubt you guys are too. We're all passionate about this. The idea, and I don't want to miss any comments, guys. I know we've got about half an hour left. So, Rick, Tom, we finish at 3 hours 33, just like David did. So we've got a meditation to do. Spend time with David on the last meditation. Loving this conversation though. We'll have to carry it next week too. Train of thought. I don't want to even myself suggest to people I have all the answers. I don't want to come across as, oh, well, look at me, I've got, forest gardening and you're wrong. I don't want to be like that. It's about doing what we're doing here. Like, we're going back to history. We're looking at what happens. We're looking at what forest gardens are. Last week we looked at the principles of forest gardening. We've gone through the rise and downfall of civilisations. What happened, right? This is what our historians tell us. This is what you'll be taught in a lot of universities. People are taught this stuff. It's what happened. And there's a theme. Yeah? The theme is the lack of concentration on the principles of the forest leads to the desolation of civilizations. Ugh, yikes. Yeah? If we carry on agricultural farming the way it's being done, are we on the same path? Is that a doomsday thing? Absolutely not. The fact we're talking about this means that we're going to restore the entire planet. I know that in my bones. And if I die a delusional fool, then I'm happy with that. Whatever. I've made peace with that. People have said that. And, that's another way of disarming people. Because if you're willing to be a fool and delusional, in quotes, we're not. This is a beautiful idea. I love it. I'm so passionate about it. But if we're willing to, then people are like, okay, well, all right. He's not kind of doing this just for inflation of ego and to be right. It's not about that, So, love that, Tom. Tom says, I'll be here next week, James. Word. And I totally agree with you. We have to start ourselves, our families, to produce our own food. I love to hear your words, James. Breath of fresh air. Thank you, my friend. That's very kind of you. Very, very kind. Free Queen. Powerful comment. Remember, James, enthusiasm makes a difference. I agree with you. And I am enthusiastic. And I'm enjoying this very much. So I'm not dampening myself too much. Shapeshifter says, James, you're not wrong. It's just an uphill battle. More power to you. Then, of course, and... Tom says, I'm with you with your delusions. Amazing. I'm with you too, That's it. So, Mummy Malins says, absolutely, looking at the past can help to do things differently for our future. And look, like, how many people... David! How many people call David delusional? And yet, when we have observed over the past 6 lives what David was talking about leading up to right now, there's a miraculous theme of peace on earth, the great revealing. Yeah, like there's a miraculous theme of what David was talking about leading up to right now. He talked a lot about Christ consciousness and the light. Again, the return of Christ consciousness, well, Yeshua, God, Garden of Eden, biblical history. There's a connection here. There's a connection to the Christ awakening in every heart and soul on the planet, all of you, hopefully me, So, it's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And I'm here for it. It's what I'm here for. We got to. If it's an uphill battle, I had one guy who was extremely impatient. He was like, you haven't got a plan, you haven't got this, and I'm like, everything in stages. We don't want to share anything too quickly. I've said I've been respectful to you. Please be patient. If you share something too quickly, you make mistakes. We don't want to do that. Breathe light. I am a holistic massage therapist. I do a similar thing, placing the earth between my hands, beautiful, and sending Christ light into the centre and all around the earth as well. Amazing, I love that. Delusional is a projection people have when they are in denial of the truth. I mean, yeah, possibly. And I only say that because, again, I don't want to present myself as an all-knowing, I got all the answers. That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's about, we're talking, we're exploring, what does it look like? Does it resonate? Does it make sense? If all in boxes start being ticked, delusional or not, what are we doing? We got to start demonstrating this, getting on the land, do a forest garden, prove it. So, we've discussed about a political party in the United Kingdom. Deliver this message, get it clear, deliver it. Can you unite the whole country? Wow. I don't know. Gonna need what an interesting concept. I'm sure that will reveal itself in time, but right now, step by step, slowly but surely, we're doing wonderful things. Right, guys, can I have your thoughts? I've waffled. We've gone over our meditation by 10 minutes. Would you like me to do the 4th meditation, have a chat for a bit, do our final meditation? Would you like us to do them both together and wait till the end? I'll give you a few moments just to let me know in the comments what you'd prefer. If not, we can go back and keep talking a little bit about, the history. Come back to it next week. But let me know, what would you like to do? Aston says, James, you don't have to have all the answers to find kindness, compassion, and connection. I agree with you wholeheartedly. You know, and I think that a lot of wonderful things is born from that. I'm listening as much as I can to everybody. I'm paying attention as much. Do them both together at the end. Okay, that's beautiful, Suzanne. Prayers of one man can save a city. Woo! I like that, Yakish. Where's that come from? Is that from you? Regardless or not, you've said it, so it's from you now. I like that. The prayers of one man can save a city. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely. And that comes into that. I don't know if you guys have seen that video about the guy who's dancing. Next week. I'm going to show you that next week. You probably have already seen it, but I'm going to show you. Free Queen says, the floor is yours, James. Did you speak everything you want to say? We can do one big one at the end. Okay. Together at the end is okay. Meditation, please. Okay. All right, guys. Well, Free Queen, I appreciate that very much. Lifeline, if it's okay. I think that's a good suggestion. If we can, we'll do it at the end. Because we're 30 minutes from the end now. Let's not rush the meditation. I don't think that's a good idea. Let's continue having a chat with each other. We'll go back to a few slides. What did I say? What was it we said? Oh, I missed it. Where's it gone? Guys, what was I going to write down? The video of the guy. Video of guy dancing. And I love that quote, by the way. The prayers of one man can save a city. Love it. Hope you don't mind, guys. Prayers of one man. Thank you for your patience. Right. Let's go back to some slides then. Soul Coach says, I agree, Free Queen. Oh, bless you. Well, that's very kind of you for your accommodation of me, guys. Tom says, I'm going with your flow, James, and everyone. Thank you. That's very kind of you, Tom. Thank you. You know, I like to I like to double check with you guys because you're watching. You're watching. So, Free Queen says, Lord knows how much you prepared for our live together, James. And so I bet we all feel that you should sleep with a content feeling of being heard. That's really sweet of you. Like I say, I don't want to tell you how long the slides took, but all I can say is I had wide eyes, quite a level of adrenaline running through me, and I was listening to some pretty intense music, sort of gathering everything and typing. But it's good. It's good. You know, again, this is really powerful work, and this will probably all go into a book as well. So, all right then, let's come over to the monitor and keep going a little bit, and then we'll probably stop about 3:15. 15 minutes to the end, 18 minutes to the end. I think that's enough. But alright, guys, 6th live. We're almost at the end. 3:33. 3 hours 33 minutes. Love you, David. Thank you, brother. Everything you've done, every word, everything you've done lives on through what we're doing. And you know, if I do this YouTube video this week, maybe people will see it. We might have some other people like our dear Tom, like our dear Rick and Lifeline, who might be, and anybody else who's just joined who I haven't shared, they might be willing to come over. So before we go over, guys, if you want to hit the like button, that helps. Maybe Tom, I don't know how you found us, my friend, but maybe people have found it from there. So hit the like button, helps to get out there, and we get more of our beautiful community with us. So yeah, let me know. Right, full monitor. We all good? Cool, we're all good. So, remember guys, we were talking about the Tudor enclosures, which was directly connected to the wool economy, sheep. When the price of wool went up for clothing, warmth, there was obviously a change in the financial focus, which meant that land then also changed. Prince Royal, I'm going to keep going, but that was really funny. That was basically okay. It wasn't quite that bad, but yeah, close enough. Poor old Annie. She came in from work from a split shift, and I was just there typing frantically. No, it's all good. I'm only joking. I love it, guys. I do. I love it. Hardcore gym. I don't like to fully suggest, but I do have some very hardcore gym playlists. I'm sorry, guys. There's a very weird balance of masculine and feminine in me. Anyway, right, come on, let's go. So what happened here was basically the people rebelled against the wealthy elite, and you found Kett's Rebellion, which was in 1549. This was a direct response to the shift in agricultural focus, which was primarily sheep. Wealthy aristocrats began to enclose lands to graze their sheep. There was an ancient right to graze the common land, and more of this nobility started enclosing it. So they started removing people from their right to use the land. This gave them opportunities to make a great deal of money, with more sheep having grazing space. But it also cost the common people their own space and those ancient rights. Isn't it interesting? On the 8th of July 1549, residents of Wymondham in Norfolk gathered, and tensions over local enclosures erupted. The crowd destroyed fences and hedges around the enclosed land. Robert Kett unexpectedly sided. He was one of these individuals who had all of this land and all this wealth. He heard them out and he joined them. Robert Kett unexpectedly sided with the rebels, declaring his support for their cause and dismantling his own enclosures. Look at that, a change of heart. Do we not think that a lot of us are going to start to see this change of heart in people? I did want to share with you the story of the billionaire from Anastasia, but I couldn't find it in time. So I've got a condensed set of notes, so I will find it, but I'll share that with you next week. Kett's rebellion grew to 16,000 men. People came from all over East Anglia, and several camps set up and took Norwich by force. The Earl of Warwick sent 12,000 men and eventually defeated Kett outside Norwich, killing 3,000 men in the process. Very unfortunate. We're not pro-war, we aren't pro-violence, but why? Why did it have to get to this point? These people take and take and take. They push and push and push. What do you do? What do you do? Kett drew up a list of demands that included that no lord of the manor should be able to exploit common land, and that private jurisdictions should be abolished. What happened to that? I need to research. Sorry, guys. I've left that with a little bit of a cliffhanger. Did those list of demands get accepted? What we find, if I'm not mistaken, when we start exploring parliamentary enclosures from the 17th and 19th century, so parliament is government. So you've got the monarchy, royal, government, parliament. These are the two separations. Then you've got these divisions of land gentries, barons, people who own vast swathes of land. These are the people. Originally, enclosures of land took place through informal agreement. So there was no government-based statute. It was just informal agreement. But during the 17th century, the practice developed of obtaining authorization by an act of parliament. Initiatives to enclose came either from landowners hoping to maximize rental from their estates, big surprise, money, or from tenant farmers anxious to improve their farms. From the 1750s, enclosure by parliamentary act became the norm. Now, this is very important, and I think I put a comment in here. It's very important. The slow degrading of the will of individuals by programming. What they do is they tell you the price of oil is going to go up. Oof, yikes. Guess what, guys? In a month, the price of oil is going to go up. Everyone gets angry. They get angry, they get riled up. 3 weeks later, in the news, don't forget, price of oil is going to go up. And so that's what happens. A week later, everybody grumbles still. Week later, same thing. Everyone's starting to acclimatize to it. When the price of oil goes up, people are like, well, they did tell us. Yeah, nobody fights back. Nobody has anything else to say. Not that I blame them, because you've got to unify the people. How do you do that? Maybe forest gardens. But you have this predictive programming. This is what happens with protesting. They give you a place to protest so you can vent all your anger, and then people get complacent. So is protesting the answer? Does it do anything? Don't know. Do I respect protesters? Yes. I think it's very brave and courageous to gather. So, yes, I'll leave it there. The ownership of all common land and wasteland that farmers and lords had was taken from them. Sorry, let me put these on a sec. Oh. Any right they had over the land was gone. New fields were designed, new roads were added, and the land was eventually reallocated to different farmers and lords. Social consequences were severe. The enclosure movement resulted in urbanisation and increased poverty. City populations grew in England as displaced farmers flocked to cities for work. So isn't this fascinating? The cities were overcrowded and factory jobs provided little pay. Poverty increased as people struggled to afford food and housing. It's fascinating but disgusting. Because what does that sound like to you? Right? What an intelligent way to control the people. Let's sit in a room one day, and as I've been saying on social media, we're going to take it all and we're going to have it all. Well, David, one of the Illuminati elite or the Freemason leaders of the 1750s, David says, well, David, how do you do that? There's so many people in England. I know how we do it. Let's take all their land off of them, stop them from growing, and build giant cities. Let's build infrastructure. Because when you build infrastructure and you need people to build buildings, well, we can give them jobs. Yeah? It's unsustainable, Dave. Doesn't matter, Illuminati friend. Because the more that we continue our modern progress, the more jobs we have. It doesn't matter if they're struggling financially. Keep it going. Keep the machine turning. Industry, find coal, find oil, continues to grow, and so we are where we are today. We were removed from our lands to become slaves to the coin, to continue the building of infrastructure, and all of the people who are the wealthy elite, they're enjoying the countryside, 3,000 acres of countryside that they have. Yikes. What a horribly efficient and terribly intelligent thing to do to humanity. Completely unethical and an absolute violation of the people, but, you know, this is what's happened. So when we look at these enclosure acts, it's a methodical, slow process. So when we think about, right, James, that's scary. Do you have an alternative? It's got to be born through the people. 3:15, we're about to do our meditation. It's got to be born through the people. The people have to unify. Whirling rainbow prophecy. Got to unify under one common objective, the restoration of the great global garden. Great popcorn, yeah. You'll own nothing and be happy. And how irritating is that? Because what they've done is, you know, somebody mentioned that our ancestors lived without ownership. So what they've done is they've taken the philosophy of living on the land without ownership and being happy, which you could with a forest garden, and they've now ruined that quote. Because you can't use that now, because people are going to think you're part of the WAF. For God's sake. Great. Amazing. So happy. Interesting. Free Queen says this is meso level. Did you mean micro? If not, what do you mean by meso? I'm very interested by that. This is meso level. If you think about it, macro level is very similar to God and Satan. Absolutely. You know, God's took a step back, universe, all that is, whatever fits, and said, you're my children. 444. So, oh God, so much to share. Love being with you guys. There's always so much to talk about, but we've got meditation to do. 444 views. Earlier with David, it was 1444 average views from you guys. Lovely. The time that you've been with us. 444, a lot of symbolism. Interesting. Absolutely, Tom. Deborah, Free Queen, Asana, Andromeda, Great Popcorn, A Real Creation, welcome. I'm so sorry that I only just noticed your comment. No worries at all. Please feel free to come back and watch. You know, we're here. We're here. We're grateful you're here. Meso means middle. Thank you. Micro, meso, macro. You've educated me. Thank you so much, Free Queen. So what you're saying is this is the middle level, meso level, if you think about it. Very much between. So isn't that funny, Free Queen? Because it kind of also connects us to the idea of, you know, connecting us with the world that's to come. Yakish, Freeman Law. Yeah, this is a good conversation, guys. I love this engagement here, and we could go on about this for the next hour. But Rick says, take a look around where we are today. Just a matter of time before we rise up and take our evolution back in our own hands. To have real purpose again, with true purpose gives me meaning to life. I agree with you. And the beautiful thing is to me, loads of people are looking for their purpose, you know, and they're looking in modern society, and that's fine. Might be there. But what could be more beautiful than embodying the purpose of the restoration of the great global garden? The trees you plant will affect an inconceivable radius around you. You know, but butterflies from France come to the south of England. You know, how many miles is that from France to England? I'll have to look it up. You know, so amazing. Anyway, love you guys. Let's get into our meditation. We'll join David. So 33, quick maths, 15 minutes. 15 minutes. So we're going to go into our meditation. I'm going to say a few words. We'll connect with David, finish with David, and finish our last bit. If it's okay, I don't know how much time we've got. I want to spend the last few minutes chatting with you guys. The Illuminatis. That's brilliant. I love that. Okay, so, right. All right, guys. Love you all. Thank you for being with me yet again for another large period of time. Take a nice deep breath in. As you breathe out, just relax. Bring yourself into the present moment. We're on the last stretch of our beautiful time here. If you've only just joined, it's absolutely fine. If you would like, place your hand on your heart for the simple purpose of bringing yourself in touch connection with your present moment. Feel yourself. And as always, take one more final deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just relax. Thank you, David, for all that you've given to humanity. Thank you to Tom and Rick for our new lovely friends coming here to join with us in our community. Thank you all for your impeccable generosity today. Love you all. It means the world to me. Thank you for spending this time to do our global peace meditations and discuss the future of humanity and how we get there, to this beautiful heaven on earth. I'd like to invite you to extend once again your energy field, your coherence field, your heart, and slowly but surely feel it expanding out from the center of your being, out of your home, where you are, surrounding countries and continents, forests, oceans, and skies all around the world. Until in the end you're cradling the planet with the coherence of your heartfelt intention. I would like you to know that you are loved on the deepest level. David often speaks about our guides, angels, beings from around our solar system and universe that see us, walk with us, recognize us, appreciate us. And I'd like to second that and share that they know what task we're talking about, and that it will require the highest levels of love, compassion, kindness and decency. So isn't it lovely that we've come together, holding those values? know that even though you're listening to my words speak about this idea, it's your idea. It exists in your heart, in your soul, in your DNA. The carbon in your bones speaks of this beautiful future. Whatever you feel is your purpose, I wish you to know that this can equally be it. You can become a spokesperson for the great global garden. Isn't that nice? Little ode to David's meditations. Whether you're going through financial difficulty, health difficulties, spiritual or mental challenges, know that you are loved. There are seasons of life. Sometimes we're in winter, sometimes we're in spring. One way or another, there's beauty in every season. A moment to watch the snowflakes fall. A moment to see the sunrise and sunset on a summer's evening and morning. Watching and smelling the blooming flowers in spring. Or the cycles of change in autumn. You are a child of Earth, and her rhythms, her seasons, and the beat of her heart exists in you. You're special, precious, lovely, and miraculous. And as you feel these things, the sphere of your intention is felt throughout the world. So I would like now to leave you for just a moment. I'm going to come over to David because we have 8 or so minutes left. Or we have a bit longer, actually. Sorry. I'm going to come over to David and I would like to spend this next period of time listening to his words. Okay.
Again, it's sad that there's so many groups out there and individuals taking advantage of us and our naivete. Ashley St. Clair is male. She has straight clavicles, bones don't outweigh positive consciousness. C-Tint, David, my name is John Michael. Take a nice deep breath. Let yourself relax. Start the breathing process. Let yourself breathe however you feel comfortable for you. Feeling a strong sense of relaxation. Finding yourself going deep into the stillness. And just let it be easy. Let the stress melt off of your body. Let your breathing follow a path leading you into calm serenity, deep relaxation, no strain, only peace, love, positivity, as your breathing lets you go deep, deep into stillness, lets you relax more and more, feeling the presence of these beings of light that are always around us, but only now are they really starting to let us know what is going on, where this is taking us, the glorious events that this great revealing is bringing to the forefront. Finding the peace in this moment, finding the stillness, feeling the love of these angelic beings who've always had our backs and want nothing more than for us to be peaceful, to be smiling and happy, and for our planet to be free of pain, violence, suffering, and tyranny. Think back to the many wonderful statements that we heard in this week's time loop. What an incredible gift it is that we are getting this time looped information. What an incredible gift it is that we are so close to the stunning events that are anticipated and to the great revealing of what's really going on in the world, who we are, and where we are headed as a civilization, as a planet. The galactic family reunion, the second coming of Christ, the glorification of all those things that were considered to be religious theories or conspiracy theories. Maybe not. Maybe we're learning that these beings really do exist. So imagine right now the light being standing in front of you, human looking with a smile on his or her face. Imagine this telepathic interaction, no words are spoken, and imagine the deep sense of peace and calm that you feel as this being is looking at you with total love. And you realize that any judgment or criticism you had of yourself was never necessary, for karma always balanced out anything that you did that was not in alignment with the light. And the being loves you just the way you are. You are loved, you are supported, and now you realize the full commitment that you made is of such great significance. All of these different lifetimes you've led, coming into a whole now, a new, higher calling for you, a reorientation of your life, the final understanding that all of these seemingly sappy, spiritual, lovey-dovey things were actually the main point of why you were here and what you were put on earth to do and to live for. And you feel that sense of renewal, that sense of appreciation, that knowingness that you are a good person, that you belong here. You deserve love, you deserve to be respected, you deserve to be treated with kindness, you deserve to have your needs met, and there is so much love for you. These beings have always felt this way, and it was only you who may have failed to see the true glory and the spiritual wonder that you are as a being. Feel this love, take it in, look the being in the eyes, and understand that the promise has been kept. The words that we have heard in the Michael prophecies go far beyond the level of the rational mind. Time loops in July 2006, time loops in February 2025, far beyond any possible extension of the idea of coincidence or happenstance. The reason these time loops are so accurate is to tell us that the future prophecies we have been given will also come true. We are going to go through renewal. We are going to go through a spectacular dimensional shift. Apparently it will be this year. We now have 8 different prophecies all pointing towards the year 2025, including the glorious Prayag Mahakumbh Mela, or Mela, festival that's coming in from India, the 144-year cycle, culminating on February the 26th. And wouldn't you know, it's this Friday where we're expecting many things to occur. The list will soon be dropped, and we are so excited. We beckon with gratitude and open hearts the coming of all of these angelic beings, the fulfillment of all the promises and all the great spiritual teachings, and the knowingness that we are not alone. We never were alone. We never will be alone. Breathing ever more deeply into these silent corridors, hearing the gentle footfalls of your shoes on the marble as you walk these corridors of the divine, the ascended world, to know once and for all, truly and forever, that you indeed are the light, you are the love, you are the infinite mind of the cosmos manifested into a perfected human form, and it is only your own sense of limitation that prevents you from seeing how you are truly one with all others, the plants, the animals, entangled in a beautiful quantum communication, leading you to the greatest understanding you've ever had, that in fact it is time to assume the mantle of the Christ, to walk as an ascended being, to share your glorious gifts with all.
All Right, guys, I'm very sorry for interrupting that last bit. We have 1 minute 30 seconds left. And you know that I like to say goodbye to you all, so I'm very, very sorry for interrupting that, but we've missed this timing just slightly this week, so if you forgive me, if I have your eternal forgiveness, I want to say goodbye to you guys. I might have already missed it with the timing, so I'll say it now. I love you dearly. If you guys don't start messaging, commenting, I love you dearly. I might have just left it a little bit too late, but I want to finish on 33333. It's got to be an ode to David. You know, we've done this 3 hours and 33 because it's an honor of him. So, Suzanne, Motel, Rick, Free Queen, Joie de Vie, Mummy Malins, Andromeda, Prince Royal, Gail, Deborah, Yakish, Tom, everybody who has joined us, everyone who's been a part of us, Bradine, if I've missed anybody, I'm so sorry. Great Popcorn, I love all of you so much. I'm going to stop at 33333 because I think it's nice. So I love you. I will schedule the next live for next Sunday. Sorry that we've left this goodbye to the end. I'm sorry. But I love you all very much. Your generosity, your time, you're incredible. Spending all this time with me is out of this world. Really is. We're doing it for David, for planet Earth, for humanity. Love you guys. You have a beautiful week. I'll try to get back to everybody. Have the most wonderful time, and I'll see you in the next one.